block with Jen. Let's get the business out the way really, really quickly. I am YouTube's bad girl and your favorite, Jen. I am on the block with Jen on TikTok, on Instagram, and Gmail. If you want to Gmail me, please hit me at ontheblock@gmail. If you want to support the show, throw something in the super chat like Big Elvis, the Chef Rosenberg just did, or hit me on the Cash App. It is scrolling on the bottom. It is not the stock prices of New York City. It is my Cash App. It is Cash App on the block with Jen, TikTok on the block with Jen, Instagram on the block with Jen, Cash App on the block with Jen. Okay, if you want to support the show, I said that again. Yes, I'll say it again. If you're catching the replay and you're not live and you want to support the show because you liked what you heard, send me a Cash App. It's open 24 hours a day. I will be asleep, but I will get your Cash App notification. All right, guys, where do I start? Last we spoke about Kanye. I thought that was really going to be about it. Not gonna lie. I was like, okay, Kanye said some things. He did some things. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna lose some money. We're gonna all move on. Little did I know. I said before it was snowballing. It's actually a blizzard. It is unprecedented what we are seeing happen with Kanye. We've never seen it before in our lifetime. So what's happened since you and I met since last time? He is no longer a billionaire according to Forbes. Now, some people are saying, you can't believe everything Forbes says, but we believed it when Forbes said he was a billionaire. So you can't pick and choose what you believe, yeah? Okay, we believed it when they said he was a billionaire. Now they're saying he's not. And now people are like, you can't believe everything, right? You can't pick and choose what you believe. So Adidas said goodbye to him. Balenciaga said goodbye to him. The Gap said goodbye to him. Foot Locker removed his sneakers from display. Adidas does own, a lot of people did not know this. They were like, well, it doesn't matter because Kanye owns 155 patents and all he got to do is open up a corner store and sell his sneakers and he'll be right back to the billions. Wrong. It turns out Adidas owns the designs, and they released a statement that said they will continue selling the Yeezys without Yeezys and without the Yeezy name. So Adidas not only told them fuck off, they told them fuck off, no Vaseline. They're still going to sell his sneakers, okay? So they're going for the jugular. Madame Tussauds, if you guys are familiar with Madame Tussauds, they do the wax figures of all the celebrities. They removed his statue from the front. So a lot of things are happening that we've never seen happen before. And I want to address this from a different angle. I want to talk about power tonight. Yes, power. The topic is dismantling Kanye. Is this simply how power works? Or is this an abuse of power? I'm going to drop the link early because I want you guys up here early with me. I like letting you guys up early because I know you be wanting to say things and then you're in the chat saying it and you might as well be up here. Thank you for everyone who's here early. Thank you so much for the super chat. Big Elvis, haven't seen you in a minute. Welcome, welcome, sir. Thank you so much, Juana Washington. Always generous to On the Block with Jen. Juana Washington says, I said on your last show that Ye being canceled was an opportunity for him to blow up. Word on the street is he planned it to get out of those contracts. That's genius if true. Well, here's the reason why I don't think it was part of the plan. And I know there's a lot of buzz on social media. This was his plan. He wanted to get out of all those contracts. Here's why that statement doesn't make sense to me, and a lot of people are saying it, is because he's no longer a billionaire. I just don't think that a genius plan would result in you no longer being a billionaire, right? I really don't think that Kanye predicted what's happening. Let's say even if he wanted to get out of the contract with Adidas and Balenciaga and Gap, let's just say, I don't really think that part of the plan was I'm going to get from $2 billion cut down to 400 million, right? And get dragged, not only in the industry, but I mean, as far as the Madame Tussauds display, I really don't think that was Kanye's plan. I think he bit off more than he can chew. And we also know that, you know, a blind man can see that there are some underlying mental issues there. We could just look at Kanye, know something is not right. Supposedly he was bipolar. He was diagnosed with bipolar some time ago. But we know something's not right. We know when someone's just upset, or they're happy, or they're sad, or they just, have these racing thoughts and they're scatterbrained and things like that. And we see Kanye talk like that. He goes from one mood to another very quickly. That's not normal, right? We've shared the gifts, but it's not normal. We thought it was funny, but it's not normal for somebody to be like, right? That shit like that isn't normal. But we take our celebrities as is. We take them as pedophiles and rapists and robbers and liars and cheaters and murderers. We take our celebrities as is. You know how we do. We take them all. Doesn't matter what form of criminality they're into. We take them all if we like the beat or the song or the movie, right? We take them all. We're open arms with all the criminals that Hollywood has given us. That is what we do, right? So I really don't think that this was a genius plan. I really don't think that he planned for this. Now, fresh off the presses, Kanye was escorted out of Skechers corporate. You guys know what Skechers is? It is a sneaker line. According to TMZ, he made an unannounced visit to Skechers corporate office, unannounced, and was escorted out. He wanted to have a meeting with the bigwigs over at Skechers. They told him, get the fuck out. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the fuck up out of here. Now, what's curious about that unannounced visit is that Skechers is the Jews owned, what I call the Jews owned, right? We can't even say Jewish owned because, word on the street is the Jews, right? So Skechers is the Jews owned. Now, why Kanye would go and try to get a deal over there, despite the scandal of him versus the Jews, is quite curious. I see comedian Ty Rivera, the best LGBTQ comedian in the world. How are you, family? It is good to see you. So, of course, I also see a tinge of narcissism. I'm sure some of us have had experience with narcissism, and narcissism is not just an insult. There is a thing called narcissistic personality disorder that's very, very real, and some of these people do exist. It's not just like, oh, I think I'm cute all the time. No, it's really a disorder, and I see some of that with Kanye. And like Ty Rivera said, he prides himself on saying, I'm a billionaire, multi-billionaire, and he'll correct you if you call him a billionaire. Like Piers Morgan called him a billionaire. He was like, I'm a multi-billionaire. He's also made fun of people that didn't have as much money as him. Having money always made Kanye feel above and beyond everybody else. So I don't see genius along with I'm going to lose all these billions, so I'm no longer a billionaire, right? But we're all thinking all kinds of things. We're all assessing. We're all looking at it from our, POV and how we look at money. Adidas did say they stand to lose $250 million, and now people are like, oh, look, they're going to tank. Adidas is never going to tank. It is a staple in pop culture. It is a staple in hip hop. I own 6 pairs. I'm not giving up my Adidas. Adidas is too cemented, into the fabric of fucking America and pop culture for it to tank because, they're going to lose $250 million. They also said it's a short-term loss. As you guys know, Adidas is also affiliated with huge pop stars, Beyonce, Bad Bunny. Those are the 2 biggest pop stars on the planet right now, right? Beyonce and Bad Bunny doesn't get bigger than that. Bad Bunny's Adidas sneakers are sold out. There is a waiting list, sold out. So Adidas is not going to be hurting for money, okay? They rank $14 to $20 billion a year, annually, $14 to $20 billion a year. Yeah, nobody wants to lose $250 million, but Adidas losing $250 million is not like Kanye losing a couple billion. So we have to be intellectually honest or just plain not stupid when we make certain statements and assessments of people, right? And we're all looking at Kanye from our point of view like, fuck, I'm living check to check. I sure as hell would like to have $400 million, right? If that's what he's worth now, depending on the outcome of the George Floyd lawsuit against him that George Floyd's family has against him, and it sounds far-fetched, they're suing him for $250 million, but so did the Alex Jones outcome. Did it not? Over $900 million they hit Alex Jones with right in the gut. And we would think, oh my God, they're never going to win, but they fucking won. The parents of Sandy Hook won, right? So we don't know what's going to happen. We can't automatically say George Floyd's family is not going to win. We don't know. We just know that they're suing Kanye for $250 million. Now, the general public is saying, yeah, Adidas took his money away and the Gap took his money away. You learned what liquid was really, really quickly, right? You learned what liquid was, right? Which means he didn't have $2 billion in a Nike box under his bed like a lot of you do, okay? He didn't have $2 billion. It was liquid, right? And we found that out because he cut him down to $400 million. Now, a lot of people are saying, man, he got $400 million. He rich. He'd be okay. He'd be okay. The problem with that is you're looking at it again from your point of view. You live check to check, right? So $400 million to you is the fucking lottery. It's the mega millions. But to a billionaire who most of his money was liquid, who has business dealings with this one and that one, who had different companies. He had a sports company. Did you know? The two athletes that were down with his sports company also said, goodbye, Kanye, we're out. So he is losing money like when you turn on the faucet and the water is fucking running. That is how the money is leaving Kanye's account. And it is happening daily, all right, from all angles. So we can't look and say, oh, $400 million, he'd be okay. He is losing money at a very rapid pace, all right? If I was him, I would be very, very, very afraid. Now, he's going to, there's ego there, there's pride there. He's a man. So at the end of the day, he's going to show up and still beat his chest, right? Because he seems like the type of person, cut off his nose to spite his face. And even when everybody's gone, the war is over. Everybody lost. Kanye's the guy that's still standing there bleeding, no arms, no limbs. Like, but we got to keep fighting. He's that guy. And he's learning very quickly what power really looks like. The stuff that he tried to wield in interviews and tell people that he had. Now he's getting a dose of what real power looks like. And I want to get into that and dissect that, right? Because a lot of us are obsessed with power. Our favorite TV shows are about power. Our favorite movies are about power. When we're watching the powerful entity in a film or music or TV, do we not cheer for that motherfucker? Do we not envy that motherfucker, right? If Kanye West is right now, if Kanye West, what he was going through was a fucking movie, we'd be cheering for the Jews, right? Because here's this fucking asshole who thought he had all the power in the world and fucked with the wrong bull and got the horns, right? Real knee deep up in his ass. We would be cheering right now for the Jews. If this was a movie, okay, or a rap track or a TV show, we would be cheering on the Jews. You know we would, because those are the movies we like. We like The Godfather. 50 Cent has the 3 #1 shows in Black households. What are his shows about? They're about power, right? They're about power. So that's what's happening now. So are we being hypocritical now? Is it too much power? Is it the right amount of power? Is it an abuse of power? Is the system now abusing Kanye? Or is it just because he went too fucking far, especially with the doubling down? How do you feel about that? Because if this was a movie, we'd be all in. We'd be all in and we'd be cheering for the power. We'd be cheering for the power, how the power is being wielded. Like, oh shit, look what they're doing to his life. But that's what we would be doing. That is what we would be doing. Thank you for the super chat, Don Levon. I'm going to start letting you guys up. Don Levon says, within the first 5 minutes of the Piers Morgan interview, Kanye said out of his own mouth, I don't have an unlimited amount of cash. I have 120 million in the bank account, not billions. Woo, okay. There goes that. So it's interesting how there's always different, right, information. Like Don Levon said, Kanye said, I don't have an unlimited amount of cash. I have about 120 million. Then everybody online is like, well, he has 400 million. Then other people online are saying, well, this was his plan. Then other people online say, it doesn't matter. He has 55 patents that he owns. Everybody has all this information, right? I asked this guy online, how do you know that this was Kanye's plan? When did y'all speak? How do you know? That was a couple days ago, people. I'm still waiting for the guy to reply because I want to know how all these people are privy to what Kanye was planning. That's what's most interesting to me. How do you guys know what Kanye was planning if nobody else knew? No one else knew. Just you and your keyboard on Facebook. No one else knew. So I'm gonna let up some of my guys so they could get in on this. Let me make sure I grabbed all the super chats. The Clue Channel, how are you, sir? You were a big hit on my show last time, Freak of Fraud. The Clue Channel says, Ye can go direct to consumer. Honestly, who is going to buy Yeezys that are not blessed by Kanye? We will see. Adidas is a big brand, and Adidas was a big brand prior to Kanye, okay? Not only that, but they are getting full, free, daily, 24 hours a day press now. So Adidas is back in the search engine of everybody, right? Is at the top of Google now, right? So it's getting a lot of free press. So we'll see who buys Yeezys. Someone said that they're going to start selling Yeezys with the Star David now. I've never liked Yeezys. I thought they were very ugly. As a matter of fact, I think every shoe that Kanye's put out is very ugly. And I think he sold it with his star power. I didn't like the sweater sneakers. The sweater sneakers, I think, are hideous. They literally look like the inside of a cushion or your grandma's throw on the couch. Those cloth sneakers are ugly. The space ones that look like spaghetti are ugly. His sewer boots are ugly. Like all his shoes are ugly, but you know, the power of celebrity had you all running out and buying that hot garbage. I thought it was horrible. Okay, what's up, Big Truck and brother?
Good evening, Jen. How are you?
I'm really good. Happy to see you guys here early. I didn't want to go too long on the monologue because I really want to get you guys' opinion.
Yeah, well, I'll make it very quick. I agree with you 100%. I never bought Yeezys. I think I had said this before when you were talking about last time. I thought it was an ugly product. It almost felt like, and I think I said this, it almost felt like we were being trolled.
Right.
Like it was like, yeah, let's see if these stupid motherfuckers will buy this. Or let me put the shirts in a garbage bag and let me see if we can get these idiots to buy this shit. Mm-hmm. And that's just how it felt to me. But the bottom line is, I never bought Adidas, but I do buy Skechers. And there's no way in hell that I would leave Skechers for him. Especially once they got it tied into the anti-Semitic comment angle, it was all over from that point. The smartest thing he could have done was shut his fucking mouth. The smartest thing he could have done was apologize and just left it nice and simple. Oh, I apologize for saying that. I really shouldn't have said that. I'm going through things, this, that, and other. He might have been able to save himself at that point. These people with this, this is all chess and this is his plan. Like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever freaking heard. But they said the same thing with Colin Kaepernick and Nike. Nike stock, yeah, it went up to $179. Look where Nike stock is right now. It's right back where it was with Colin Kaepernick before he started the protest thing. So the bottom line is, any given Sunday, you can do something really stupid and you can lose everything you got. So that's all I got to say. I'll pass the mic.
Okay, thank you, Big Truck. Ty Rivera says the 400 million is also net worth, so that's part his property, real estate part, and Skims. I'm curious to know if he's still going to move forward with Skims, seeing as Kim Kardashian, his ex-wife, has denounced him and denounced what he said. So I'm very curious because I know that Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian's mama, Kanye West's ex-mother-in-law, has also stopped representing him. His lawyers dropped him. His agency dropped him. MRC dropped the upcoming documentaries. So he really is getting hit from all angles. We've never seen anything like this. I really thought it was going to die down, and it seems to have grown big, strong, hairy, monstrous legs. I mean, to the point where they took down his Madame Tussauds wax figure. Never seen anything like this before. But let me pass the mic. I know, Brother Ish, you were here. If you're ready to talk, cool. If not, I'll throw it to Joanna.
I'm available, yes. I'll
say?
start with this quick quote. I'll start with this quick quote from Voltaire. To learn who rules over you. Let me stand. Oh, it moved. Sorry. To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize.
Oh.
That is a quote from Voltaire. To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize. And quickly, Kanye has shown us who rules over us. Now, I've seen in multiple posts that have gone up, different individuals that said when they ran the list of all the individuals that were in power over different network and media agencies, most of those CEOs were all in the Jewish faith or Jewish heritage. So he technically did not lie.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't characterize, I mean, some of the other speeches in quotes, somewhere he may have characterized it, but he stated, these are the people in power over us. This is how I've been effed over in doing bad business with these individuals. This is my circumstances. And now you see the consequences of his actions, because aggressively and in a very systemic and unified manner, all his dominoes have been toppled over.
Mm-hmm.
If he was irrelevant, if what he was saying wasn't true, I don't think the consequences would be as quickly as we've seen it. Because again, he is showing what we need to do. Now, Russell Simmons also stated very clearly, Kanye's in a great position. He can go start a business. He can go partner up with someone else. He can do a variety of things. So just like you said, with his liquid, what he actually has, I think it's 120 million, which is not nothing to sneeze at. He can easily partner up with somebody else and start something, create a manufacturing plant in Kenya somewhere, and find and train and go through the evolutionary process. It may be a bit more difficult. It may take more time, but ultimately there are options there per Russell Simmons. So I stand corrected on anything I perceived earlier, because Russell's done it. He said he had to deal with Adidas. It didn't work out well. He went and started the classic Fat Farm sneakers. He sold that business for some odd millions of dollars. So boom, it can be done.
But can we ignore that Russell Simmons is a lot more stable of mind than a Kanye West? I don't disagree that Kanye can start whatever he wants. Okay, he can start the next Disneyland, but can he maintain it with as unstable as he is? That's the huge issue here, where it looks like he doesn't work well with people in general. And for people saying that he's trying to put us up on what's going on, we've known that since the beginning of time. I said it on the other show. The house always wins. So why is it that we're talking like we're supposed to go to a casino in Vegas, throw our money in there, and they're supposed to give us all the money that we want back? It doesn't work that way. That's why, it begs the question, is this simply how power works, or is it the abuse of power? Are they abusing Kanye? Is this the abuse of power? I mean, if we have children and our child is acting up in our house and we pay bills in that house, what is the first thing we say? You don't like it, you can get out and get your own place. Do we not do that? Do we not do that? I see this the same way. If that is your parent company and you need them to make your billions, and obviously he needed them to make his billions because now he's no longer a billionaire. So I don't know what more proof than that we need that he needed them to make billions, because now they bounced and he's no longer a billionaire. So is this an abuse of power, or is this just how power works, like in all the movies we love to watch, The Godfather, the Kane and Power book 2? Is this not how power works? Or do we feel them because we share melanin?
Well, let me say this. It was not, it wasn't just, it was a mutual relationship. It was an intersecting relationship. Kanye had the ability to bring a higher number of purchasers to their company. They're going to lose at an estimated $246 million.
Mm-hmm.
So he's bringing something to the table, and it's not just an aspect of a dominant parent company. He's bringing a considerable amount of revenue opportunities to that company. So I would say it's more of a partnership than it is necessarily a parent company. They have the ability to manufacture. He has the ability to publicize and promote. So if that and be a sales rep basically for Adidas. So with that being the case, I think mutually the relationship still had to have a kind of egalitarian type of rapport, okay? And if anything else, I mean, they can say, you know what, pish posh, we'll find another Kanye, which is how dismissively they treat us as individuals who are bringing in a great deal of revenue. But that again shows a level of disrespect and why we really need to divest out of even doing business in this manner.
Okay, well, all right, I'll pass the mic, but I wouldn't say it's an equal partnership at all. That's why he's out. They're not. They're gonna $250 million, like I said, is a lot of money, but the company's worth 20 billion annually. Okay, let's just be clear. I don't think that's an equal partnership at all. Joanna?
Yes, ma'am. How are you? How do I sound?
You sound great. We can hear you fine.
I just want to say salute to everyone. I think you have some new people I don't know. The gentleman with the cool hair. Hello, greetings. And I just want to say hello to the chat as well. What Big Truck said was,
I would assume that's me.
I'm sorry, say again.
Go ahead, Joanna.
What Big Truck said, I as a humble person, I agree, and I
Oh,
said
sorry
this.
about that. That was on a delay. I said I would assume that's me. Sorry about that.
Well, I just wanted to say hello to you because I didn't know you, but my name is Jay. So anyway, what Big Truck said, I kind of agree with because I don't have an ego as large as Kanye. So I would have, in my business dealings, I keep my mouth shut to get what I want, and then I may talk behind your back about you or whatever, but I keep my mouth shut when I'm doing my business about certain things. But I wholeheartedly agree with what Brother Ishmael Muhammad said. I see this as a lucrative opportunity for Ye, and let me go again and say that I am not a Kanye fan.
Lucrative
I've never bought.
for
I've
Ye.
never. And let me go again and say that I am not a Kanye fan.
Lucrative
I've never bought.
for
I've
Ye.
never. And let me go again.
There's an echo. There's an echo.
I am not a Kanye fan.
Can everybody mute their mic?
For Ye.
And let me go
There's
again.
an echo. There's an echo.
I am not a Kanye.
That was really funny. Okay,
That was
Joanna,
weird. I was
Yeah.
on a loop.
Joanna, you were saying you're not a Kanye fan?
I'm not a Kanye fan. I've never bought any of his products. Okay. All I know is that he was married to the Kardashian woman.
Mhm.
But so I just want to put that out there. But I'm just talking about business, Jen, because
Okay.
I got my little toe in business just a little bit. So I agree with what Ishmael was saying. This is a very lucrative opportunity for him, and I see it that way because Gap has been down for several years now. Who still shops at Gap? I don't know. I don't know anybody. But as far as Adidas, I know you're a lifelong fan. I grew up with Run DMC. My Adidas. I was all about that. But then that was in the '80s. I was a teenager. But anyway, I agree with Ishmael Muhammad because and it's another point I want to make. Now, if I ever said this, then I misspoke. But I've never repeated that Kanye had $2 billion in his bank account. What was reported in the like Forbes magazines and things of this nature is that he's worth 2 billion. That's a difference. Now it was always safe to say he's worth 2 billion. When you say that, that doesn't mean you have it in liquidity. That doesn't mean it's in the bank. That means the potential to, and to acquire that is there with those contracts and deals that he apparently lost. But that doesn't mean that you have that. And so I need the people to hear this conversation to understand that he didn't lose 2 billion, as in like that was physically in his hand or in his shoebox, and now it's gone because these people canceled him. The opportunity to have that was lost with those particular contracts. He can acquire new contracts. He can make deals with other people, and this is what I was saying on the last show that you had, was that the opportunity, because this door closed, another door opens. Because this door closed, he has an opportunity to even go higher. And that's why I said, and I didn't make a statement or declaration that, he is free or whatever, but my statement is that, is it possible that, he had this, plan, because he was already upset with these different contracts for a long time. He's been complaining about them for a long time. And you can't just get out of a contract, they have to cancel you. And that's why I posed the question, is it possible that he planned to upset the apple cart to get out of those contracts? And so I think it's a very fascinating, and if it is true, then it's a very genius move. And another thing I just want to point out, Jen, I'm not quite sure I understand when you say, don't we cheer for the power, all the movies, The Godfather, the show Power, aren't we all about power? I agree with that. But at the same time, don't we root for us? And when do we not root for the underdog? Who is the underdog in the scenario? And why are we not rooting for him to win? Because these people who
All right,
have done.
let me pass the mic because I have a lot of people on the panel. I got
Yes,
your
ma'am.
question. Short answer is we do root for the underdog and we do root for people that look like us. However, Kanye has made himself a huge caricature of ego, being pompous, obnoxious, telling people he had more money than them. That's not an underdog anywhere on earth. The underdog is a guy that keeps trying and wants to try, and he keeps getting beat on and he doesn't have anything. Then he wins at the end. That's the guy we usually cheer for. But the guy that's throwing his weight around, and I got money and I got the most beautiful woman on the planet and everybody wanted her and I got her and I got more money than you and can't nobody stop me. And that's not an underdog. So that's why it's hard to root for Kanye. Do I wish him, any ill will? Absolutely not. I wish him nothing at all. I like Jesus walks and no church in the wild because I'm an atheist. But he's not exactly your poster boy for underdog, is all I'm saying. Now, after they finish dragging him, he'll be that. And then maybe he'll get people on his side to feel sorry for him. Like, oh, look what they're doing to Kanye. But Kanye, prior to the dismantling, was not an underdog by any means.
I don't feel sorry for him at all.
Okay. Ty Rivera, the best LGBTQ comedian in the world.
In the world. Can you guys hear me? Am I coming in all right?
Yes, you're good. I haven't seen you in so long. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. What say you?
I was just thinking Kanye, I'm not a Kanye stan on any level. I also don't hate Kanye. I think he's a lot of fun sometimes, and I can definitely get down with a lot of people's crazy. But right now, I think a big part of what's happening with Kanye and why he's being canceled is that what he's saying is going to make a lot of people think about a lot of things that the industry doesn't want everybody all together, not just the Black voice, but people in general thinking about different artists, thinking about who owns their voice. Because that's one of the things that, he's in trouble for saying, is that Jewish people own the Black voice. Well, that makes a lot of people at a time when the industry is kind of trying to figure out what it's going to do because of the rise of social media and so many people going independent. So they really don't want you thinking at any record label or pretty much anywhere you would think about that you would make money from, thinking about who owns your voice right now. And so I think that's a part of the reason that he's being shut down so quickly, is that not only is what he's saying, considered anti-Semitic and could potentially be dangerous to Jewish people, but more importantly, when it comes to the money-making end of things, they don't really want people to be thinking about that right now. Like, you know, I put out an album at one point in 2012 that was independent, a stand-up comedy album, and it did really well. And I got to see how much money you actually make off of that versus any deal that you're offered. And once you see that, it kind of gives you a different way of seeing things. And so, like, as far as that part goes, but you know, he's definitely on one right now. He's definitely going through like a manic phase and dealing with mental issues. But at the same time, some of his crazy might make people think in a way that maybe the industry doesn't want you to right now.
That's true, because it made me think about stuff like regarding contracts, and I'm like, wow, he freaking signed a contract where people were like, oh, it's okay, he'll take the Yeezys with him, and Adidas was like, we own Yeezys, and that makes you think like, hold up, something I made you own, and now you're gonna sell. And it's been that way since the beginning of time with record labels, and I guess now with fashion labels. So that is absolutely true. But do you think that the message is getting lost in translation, and we could just chalk him up as a crazy guy because of his delivery?
Well, yeah, I definitely think there is that, because it's easy to dismiss somebody as crazy when they're behaving in a way that you think is crazy. But if you think about it from Kanye's perspective, it may not necessarily be crazy. Like, think about how many Jewish people Kanye knows and has known throughout his time in the industry. You think this is the first time he's ever said any of this before? No, he's definitely said it to some of his Jewish homies before, and they had a regular conversation about it. And part of the thing that's happening with Kanye right now, in my opinion, is he's trying to address the American public the same way he would address a friend. He's trying to say, look, this is what I think it is, and this is what I notice. And usually this is when you'd come back with, well, no, actually, this is what I think of it. This is what I notice. Instead, he's just being all the way canceled. And he's doubling down like it's a conversation, but really it's not a conversation. Like, he doesn't realize that he's coming off looking like the crazy person just standing on the pulpit, telling people what it is he thinks, and that the conversation isn't happening the way he thinks it is.
That's what I see, because a lot of the things that he says, I'm like, oh, we have those conversations. Like, me and my friends have those exact same conversations, but it's like, that's like our conversation, and he's out there like he's talking to a friend, and it's like, Kanye, the cameras are on. Cut. Like, the cameras
exactly. We're not just talking right now. You can't just say that, like, it's not just us. So I think there's that going on as well, and it's unfortunate that it's happening the way it's happening, because even with $400 million, you can start to see how a person could go broke really quickly. And you don't know how much of his stuff he actually owns outright. Like, when you talk about property in his net worth, sometimes it's smarter for somebody, even that has a lot of money, to hold on to cash rather than just paying for something outright. So then they've got a mortgage. Well, how many of his properties might have a mortgage on it? If he starts losing money, things start falling through, then he's still got to pay that mortgage. And that money can quickly start to dwindle depending on what he owns. What happened with the divorce? Is the divorce 100% final? He also owns 5% in Skims. Like, are they going to force him out? How much is that going to affect what he has coming in? Because they can give you a good payout, but you could quickly run through a good payout as well if they decide there's a way to force you out, which probably legally, even if we all don't think it's right, probably legally, there is some out that they have in, again, their contract with Kanye as far as Skim goes, that if you do anything that looks too bad for the brand that could possibly hurt the brand, then there's got to be a way to either buy you out or push you out and have that not really have any real repercussions for Skims itself.
I can see Kris Jenner dotting her I's and crossing her T's as far as that goes, for sure. It is Kris Jenner. Haran DeMarco, I know you had an interesting point of view on the fiasco, the dismantling of Kanye.
Hey, what's up? What's popping? Can everybody hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, I can't really stay too long, but I just wanted to just point out a few things. Like, I just want everyone to keep a couple of things in mind. and just travel with me for a second. So as you're watching Kanye being torn to pieces, you know what I mean, by those in power, and I doubt if it's over, you know, to essentially making an example of him, I want you to possibly, you know what I mean, think, how does it make you feel to know that none of us has absolutely any power to thwart this?
To what?
None of us have absolutely any power to actually stop this from happening. None of us can stop this train from running over Kanye West right now. Right?
True. Wow.
Now, no, wait. Let me finish. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Now, here's the irony of it, the poetic irony of it. Kanye West sat there and said slavery was a choice. Because in his mind, the slaves and so on and so forth, they should have fought back. They should have done whatever. They should have did whatever they needed to do and to ensure that they weren't being enslaved. But let's take this for a second. Now that we traveled into modern times, and we all have a lot more rights and a lot more freedom than those slaves, a lot of us still feel just as powerless as we sit here and watch him being torn apart. And the irony of this all is that Kanye, to sit and watch this happen, I wonder if Kanye is actually realizing the weight of what he said when he actually sat there and laid that disrespect to the feet of our ancestors by saying that slavery was a choice. And there's a piece of me that does feel like this is a sense of poetic justice, because he's in this situation because of the choices that he made. And because of the choices that he made, he's trying to make this our problem. It's not our problem. Okay? You chose not to invest in Black banks, Black schools, the Black economic dollar, but you chose to marry a white woman, though. You chose to have mixed children. Point. You chose to have a whole bunch of things that are anti-Black. But the moment that you have some issues with your white constituents and your white homies, then all of a sudden it's our problem. No, this is your problem. This is your problem. You go fix that. Okay, you and your white mother-in-law or whomsoever who you have to speak to fix this. You go fix that, because you know what I mean, when you behaved and gallivanted and acted all out of pocket, you know what I mean, to make a mockery out of a lot of Black people and a lot of Black perspectives, it wasn't a big thing. And I just want to say that the Jewish folks basically showed people that on their end of things, disrespect won't be tolerated. See, Black people let him get away with a lot of shit. And you see, it's because of slavery that Black people are conditioned to take disrespect. The trauma of slavery, the trauma of our families, we're conditioned to think that disrespect is just par for the course. No, some people are really with the shits. Some people really have dignity. Some people really have sense of self. And they will bury you without a problem. So that's about the only thing I really have to say. I can't stay too long. If anybody wants to rebuttal, feel free.
So before the rebuttal, I did want to point this out because it's something I've been saying. Don Levant said the Monique effect, our problem. I agree 100%. I said what Kanye's doing is reminiscent of Monique, right? Long as their money and paper is good, they great. Soon as somebody white messes with their money, then it's our problem. We the people, my babies. I love us for real. We, us. And I find that interesting. And I think the natural reaction, and that happens in our personal lives. Somebody that turned their back on us, needing our help, the first thing we think is like, I'm gonna fucking help you after you did X, Y, and Z. And I think that's why it's so convoluted what's happening with Kanye, because he turned Black people off, he turned white people off, he turned Jewish people off. The Armenians are mad at them. The Kardashians are Armenian. It's like it's so messy. It's like, even if you wanted to help him, you don't even know whose side he's on. It's like, should I, would I, do I defend? I don't know. What's good. He's going to turn on me later. It's hard. He makes it really, really difficult. If anybody has a rebuttal for Haran, feel free, or No Saint, I'll pass the mic to you.
Can I?
No Saint, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think Tony was gonna say something, so I was gonna wait. He was here.
I just have a few points because it's it's quite late here.
I know how you do. Wrap them up now.
No. I mean, basically, I'll be quick. It was global news. It's knocked the news of our new prime minister off the front pages. So that's an achievement for him. In terms of Kanye himself, I mean, this is what I will say in terms of what's previously been said. He may have millions, etc. He's rocked the boat, and I don't think it's a case of him being able to obtain new opportunities now from this position, simply because they won't let it happen. The powers that be will not let Kanye now rise, or let's say he's rocked the boat. He's offended the blue community. Yeah, they won't have that. So he went to Skechers. Don't forget, who owns Skechers? Blue people. So he's in a matrix, as it were, to use the term. And the thing is, although he's targeted the blue community, all communities get paid off Black culture, not just the blue community. That's all cultures get paid. All cultures, especially Caucasian culture, gets paid off. Beyonce, Jay-Z, Rihanna. I can go on and on and on. And there's a lot more I can say. I mean, one of the key mistakes he made was thinking with his ego. I mean, because don't forget, the blue community. I'm saying that because blue people own this building. Okay, so the blue community. Okay, that's how powerful they are. They're global. They're our global force, and they're very professional. They're very business-like. Like over here, I'll tell you a brief snapshot of how they operate over here in the UK. There's an area in London, North London, and they all congregate around there. They have their own synagogues, their own businesses. They're tight, and they keep themselves to themselves. You don't hear about them in anything. They stay within themselves. And if you anyhow violate that, or anyhow like encroach on that, or let's say try and violate them, you're done. You're toast. They are very, very strong. They're a very strong lobby over here. So, and that's it. That's it, really. I mean, I can go on. I mean, I know I vented on your Facebook page earlier, Jen. Dropped some bombs on there, but it is what it is. I mean, I'll go on anyway. I mean, you guys talk, and I'll jump in a little later. But yeah, some great points. Truck as usual made some great points, and the guy who spoke before me again.
Don't start commenting on everybody's comment because we'll be here all night.
Sorry, yeah. Go for it. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay, no problem. We got Residente Firme on the panel now. Welcome. I do want to say this. I'm still not hearing. First of all, thank you for the super chat, Necessary Evil. She says a man's true character will show when given power. Yes. I will say though, watching Kanye's Netflix series, that even when he was like broke, he's always had that attitude where he was the biggest person in the room and he was the best person in the room and he was a better rapper, though he was horrible, better producer. He always carried himself that way. And I think the money was just the fuel to the fire that he already had burning, which is interesting with Kanye. But he was always that very pompous. Like if you watch that Netflix special, he was young. He was throwing his weight around even back then, to the point where he was a nuisance to people when he walked in studios. Like you could see the look on their faces. They were like, oh, this dude's here again. So, he's an interesting character. I'm still not hearing that it's bad that these people are handling him like this. I just don't see any of us in that position putting up with a Kanye either. And that was the point.
The anti-Semitic comments wrapped it up, because you basically drew the first blood. That some people will stick up for him, but I'm just sorry. It's not like this was something completely unfair. You did this to yourself. Sorry.
But also, nobody corrected him back in the day. It's like everybody put up with him being bad. It was like a kid that people put up with being bad because they thought it was cute, and now they don't think it's cute anymore. Like if you think all the way back to when he said the thing about George W. Bush not liking black people, that technically is something a lot of people would get in trouble for saying, but people thought it was cool because Kanye said it, you know? And so like the Taylor Swift thing, when he stormed the stage for Taylor Swift, it's like he's always dealt with these kind of consequences that were more of a slap on the wrist. So of course he thinks it's okay for him to get away with saying anything and doubling down on it. And in a way it should be. Like I'm kind of torn on that. I'll say this and then I'll get out of here because I don't want to take up too much of everybody's time. But I just think
don't leave us time.
I'll still watch, but you know, I'll let some other people get some talk time in. You know, other people have ideas, but just like really, I don't think he's saying things right now that are that terrible. I don't think they're things that people want to hear. But sometimes you do kind of get like, just like, why is it all of us can face criticism as whatever group we are, whether you're LGBT, whether you're trans, whether you're gay, Latino, black, whatever you are, all of us can take some criticism. But the minute you mention the Jewish people, and I have nothing against Jewish people at all. I was raised in a part of Arizona where we don't have any. So, or you know what I mean? We don't have a lot. So it's not like I have this where I grew up with Jewish people holding me down or any kind of nothing, you know, it's just not my experience. But at the same time, I can't help but notice once you mention that group, you can't do anything, everything, it just shuts down. But all the rest of us can take some kind of criticism. It's like none of it. We can't talk about any of it.
Wait, hold on.
I'd like to get my shot whenever.
Let me just say this real quick. Wouldn't you agree that cancel culture really began with Don Imus saying nappy-headed hoes?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, fine. Where did cancel culture begin?
Well, I'm about to bring some of this up. So the reason why Kanye, he couldn't say something about the Jewish people is because that's his boss right now. I mean, it's like anybody, whoever's your boss, you probably shouldn't go on national TV or make a video criticizing them and because they hold the strings, right? So to answer Big Truck, I was going to bring this up. This isn't like unique to you've got to know who you're talking about, and you got to know the pulse of the nation. You got to know whether you're going to be able to get away with some of this stuff. So there was a Jewish guy, right? Some of you remember and some of you won't. Howard Cosell got fired from Monday Night Football. He said something that could be taken as racist. I don't know if he meant it or not.
He said, look at that monkey run.
Yes, he did. He was gone. Also, you had Jimmy the Greek, who said off the record that he thought that the black athlete was more athletic and stuff through breeding, through the slave being bred. A lot of people had that opinion. He was gone. So it's not, that's what I'm talking about. You got to know who you're talking about, what's the sensitivity in the nation, and who your bosses are. I don't go around making videos talking about my workplace or when I was in the military. I didn't criticize the leadership because you get in trouble when you do that, especially now with social media. It goes everywhere and it's forever. So I don't feel sorry for Kanye. Why should you feel sorry for Kanye? He dug his own grave. He should have known better.
Is it in a country
before you go, Brother Ish, before you go, I don't want to gloss over what Tyrera said. When he snatched the mic from Taylor Swift, we all cheered. It was funny when the
I didn't. I thought it was rude.
Yeah, I thought it was rude.
It was all right. I'm talking about the majority. I know some of us were appalled, right? But the majority of people, there were memes, there were jokes. It was funny that he went up there and snatched the mic and shouted out Beyonce. Beyonce was in the audience like, oh my God. It was cute. The same thing with the George Bush comment. It was power to the people. That's right. George Bush don't like black. And when that two-headed snake turned around and snapped and then bit us in the ass, now he's like, how dare he talk about slavery like that? It wasn't. So it is that raggedy ass, unruly kid that's cute until he's jumping on your furniture. So let's not
but Jen, I'm surprised you didn't mention when he started rooting for Trump and he put on the Make America Great hat.
Right, the MAGA hat, the White Lives Matter. Then all of a sudden it's like, hey, whose kid is this? Somebody come get your kid. So there's hypocrisy there too.
Oh, but his mama died. He's grieving. His mama died.
I know. Let
me respond back to the comment. You know, in a country that says that you have freedom of speech, I don't believe that what Kanye has been saying. Well, at some points there are some statements, and just because I can't recant them all right now, that it wasn't all just hate speech. So it doesn't care.
I love Hitler and the Nazis.
Let me say this. Okay, you can look at and I'm not a fan of Hitler. I've done a great degree of historic research, you know, on Germany and the whole nine and studying the Nazis. But because they lost, in those dynamics and because of the atrocities, you know, people have this, you can't mention the Hitler dynamic, but historically, this guy did incredible things with a country that was on its way down. So regardless of whom or what, you got to call a spade when it comes to those type of situations. You got to be able to talk about that. And it's not saying that you enjoy the fact that you know, Jewish people were murdered and all those things are evil atrocities. And we understand that. But the same thing happened in Rwanda. And nobody sits up there and says, you better not mention Rwandans. You know, like it's literally.
Wait a minute. Opinions of the panelists are not necessarily.
Jen, listen.
But hold on. Let me finish. I'll close on my point. I'll be very concise. I would also like to say that this is also a similar, not the same type of circumstance, but a similar type of environment as Muhammad Ali when he said that no Viet Cong called me nigga and I'm not going to war. And they were like, just be happy and box for a country and reap the benefits of these opportunities. But he stood for a principle and he spoke his mind. And I believe that Kanye's circumstance is really a reflection of the fact that somebody like Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X, who said very controversial statements, who spoke truth to power, didn't have somebody behind the scenes grooming him and guiding them and helping them navigate the terrain. But at this time, this is the same type of conversation that people were saying about Muhammad Ali. So this is the same thing that people said about Prince. This is the same thing that people said about Dave Chappelle. These are the same things that people said about Michael Jackson.
This is so true.
And so all this, it has a context in the eye of the storm in this moment. But really, when we look back on history with the hindsight, what will this actually say, and what has Kanye actually done? Because it is very significant that he made this statement, and then all of a sudden, these same entities that claim that it doesn't exist all counseled him.
Excuse me, I disagree with the premise. First of all, nobody ever said that this country has freedom of speech. The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law. That means that the government itself cannot censor people. However, what Kanye did was within private organizations and corporations, he made these comments. See, the thing about it is people, when they keep repeating a lie long enough, they start believing it. And that's the problem. Most of these people don't seem to understand there is no such thing as freedom of speech. The Congress cannot make laws against your self-expression, religion, or speech. Kanye West opened his mouth to sketches, to Adidas, and to whatever Jew signs his paycheck. And they shut him down because they are a private entity. Now, if he was smart, what he would have done was saved enough fuck you money so that he could have enough money, $2 billion under his bed or $5 billion under his bed or whatever, and then he could say fuck you. But no, he did it beforehand, and these corporations use those clauses.
And that's what I said. That's what I said. Okay, go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
I want to respond to something Brother Ish said when he was talking about the whole Hitler thing. And Hitler, what did you say? You say Hitler did what for the country?
Basically made the trains run on time.
Okay.
Well, ultimately Hitler.
I didn't finish responding. Big Chuck, hold on. So
Hitler turned around a country that was economically depressed.
He turned the country around.
He turned the country around in a very short span of time.
Got it. So listen to this, right? That is how you feel about Hitler, right?
No, that's not a feeling. That's a fact.
Whoa. Hitler did not.
Can I get through it? Can I get through it? And then you guys can respond. Is it so
It's a
hard?
fact. It's a fact that in Germany he cured unemployment. That's a fact.
I will mute you. I will mute you. This is not your first rodeo with me. Por Dios. Brother Ish, you have that opinion, right? Whether it's a fact or not, it's something Brother Ish said, correct? That's what I'm trying to get at. It's something that you said.
Correct.
Right? Now, you working, your boss is Jewish. He has every right to fire you for that opinion, just like, don't nobody answer yet, just like the guy that said, well, that athlete is such and such because of slave breeding. Isn't that also true?
True.
Did not slave breeding create freaking men that are 6'5" and can run a ball for
Like
10,000 miles? Is that not also true?
Like me.
True.
Right? Correct. But I guarantee every black person from here to Cancun wanted him fired. And it's just his opinion. And it's a fact as well. So if Kanye's working for Jewish people, he can say he loves the Nazis and whatever and get fired. Isn't that the same way you want someone that says we have the best black athletes in the world because of slave breeding? What's the difference?
There's no difference.
There is no difference.
Okay, so then
There is no difference.
So then that is why he got kicked on his ass. That is why Kanye got kicked on his ass.
I understand, Jim, why he got kicked on his ass. I said on your other show, I said, you know, like you said, when you're in somebody's house, like Tristan said, when you're in somebody's house, you abide by their rules. I think the other gentleman on the panel said that. When you're in somebody else's house, you abide by their rules. You mind your P's and your Q's. And me as a business owner or a person, I wouldn't have done that. But this is a different human being. He sees himself as bigger than life, as did Prince, as did Muhammad Ali, as did a lot of people throughout history. I think that I think he ruffled a lot of feathers. He stepped on a lot of toes. He stepped on a lot of powerful toes. But the underlining point that I'm picking up on is that he shouldn't be supported because he married a white woman and he proclaimed her the most beautiful woman in the world. I don't know what man is worth his salt wouldn't say the same thing about his wife, because he said that white lives matter. I don't know who would dare say that white lives don't matter. I agree that white lives matter, because he said George Bush didn't care about black people. At that time that he said it, a lot of black people and white people felt the same way, because he said a lot of the things he said wasn't because they were necessarily untrue, but because it pissed people off. And isn't that what this is really about?
I do agree with that. I also agree with, if he was a mailman, he could run off at the mouth, right? But he's not a mailman. He's saying these things within an industry that the people he's talking about are signing his checks and working with him and are his peers. That's the only issue. It's not really, because we have these conversations all the time amongst ourselves, right? So my issue is not what he's saying, is where he's saying it and why he thinks he can say it working there. It really is no different than that guy saying that guy can run because of slave breeding. You know where you are, sir? You cannot say that here. You can say that to your boy at the bar, at the cigar bar, but you can't say it here. And I think what we have to be careful that we're not saying, well, Kanye should be able to say whatever he wants to say, whenever he wants. It doesn't make sense. That's just like if I have a corporate job, I can't go in there with a bikini because it's my right to dress how I want to dress at a corporate job. Like, so what exactly are we saying here? With that said, I want to throw the mic to World Kings because he's been very patient. World Kings, what say you? And he's not there, so I'm passing the mic. Does someone else have something to say?
Well, yeah, I wanted to back up what Big Truck was saying with the fact that you do have, well, he says there's no freedom of speech. What I'm going to say is you do have the freedom to say whatever you want, but there's also consequences.
Can you hear me?
There you go. I'll yield.
Go ahead, World Kings.
Okay. So yeah, just what you were just saying was right. Just like a couple weeks ago with the Nuri Martinez, she's able to say that when she's amongst her Mexican homies and they're at a and they're chilling or whatever. But you can't. Unfortunately, she got caught where everybody heard it. You know what I'm saying? So you was right on that. But I wanted to say that brother Kanye's in trouble, but now he's gonna have to get it out the mud for real, because I'm starting to learn how deep his portfolio is based upon the people that are disengaging from him. Like I didn't know he had a sports agency
Yeah, I
where
didn't
he
know
had.
that either. That was a surprise to
I
me.
didn't know that, and he has top shelf athletes that he was representing that are disengaging from him. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know how deep this man's portfolio was until I see all the people that are stopping from doing business with him, which is crazy. Like he's got Aaron Donald, he got Jaylen Brown. These are dudes that are at the top of their fields, respectively.
Yep.
So it's like now he's gonna have to get it out the mud. He's gonna have to find somebody that's brave enough to mess with him. But now I believe, like, if somebody mess with him, they're gonna probably put something in the contract. Like, dude, you can't be running around saying this. You can't say that. If you say this, if you do this, your ass is cut off immediately. We ain't gonna talk about it. The deal is closed. I do believe he's gonna have people that want to deal with him, because I know there's people behind the scenes reaching out to him and trying to hold him down. They just like, motherfucker, don't say nothing about my name. Don't tell these people you know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell these people I'm hollering at you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
He
I
can
will help
he
you.
can make
We can
deals
do
with
something on the
China.
back end, motherfucker. Do not say my name.
Yeah, he's
He
gonna
can
bounce back.
he can
He's
make
definitely
deals
gonna
with
bounce
people
back.
in China who have a lot of money. He can make deals with some people on the continent of Africa who are billionaires who have a lot of money. He can make deals with people in Germany who have a lot of money.
Residente Firme, passing the mic to you. What say you?
Yeah, you know what? I just want to say that, his talking points, I've heard a lot from Farrakhan as well. So that it surprises people that, even though it was a bit insensitive, what what's happening to him really proved what he was saying. I mean, it's crazy how people are being debanked. When the fuck have we heard about that? This is like what, the third one in recent that are, big, um they have a lot of viewers, and it's just crazy to me. It goes to show the powers that be on, they're not fucking with anybody no more. It's like communist China, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really got a social score. Like, I just seen the Lex Friedman interview. And if you guys haven't seen it, this is probably the best interview he's given, and he actually sounds sound of mind. He still sounds a little bit brash, to say the least, but he's up there and seeing things that a lot of people haven't seen, and he knows what's gonna happen to him, and he's willing to speak about it. Granted, he's a little bit kooky, but
Give us an
I mean,
example
he's
of what the forcing Kanye. What is he talking about? Because I want to watch that interview, but he's very hard to watch. He's very like, he gives me a headache. He's so scatterbrained. But what did
well,
you
we've
say
we've
about?
heard about different musicians or athletes that people are getting rich off of them, and he's just saying some shit like, yo, we need to sit everybody down, compare and contrast, and figure out. He's probably pretty much talking about unionizing black people in every aspect of entertainment. You get what I'm
Yep.
saying? He feels that you guys are being done very wrong, and he's tired of it. And I see it, honestly. I see it as he's stepping up. The White Lives Matter, whether you're mad at that, but he's like people were bringing up MLK or Muhammad Ali. I don't think he's doing it for the clout. I think he genuinely cares. He's just not the best person like all of us. But there's a lot of good stuff that we can pick and choose. And me being a brown Latino, I have I'm like, hell yeah, like that's what's up. Go get them, not go get the Jews or nothing like that. But there's motherfuckers in power that are pushing agendas. I'm gonna tell you one name that he always keeps bringing up: George Soros, and I commend him for that,
I
because
do too.
George Soros just bought 15 different companies, radio and TV in Latin America, and all of a sudden the gay agenda is in full fucking force, which is fine by me. I mean, I don't give a fuck. Do whatever the fuck you want to do, but we all know there's powers of play, big money, big business, pharma, whatever you want to call it. And I see what he's doing admirable. He's not the best person. I don't agree with everything, but I'm buying some fucking. I've never bought Yeezys in my life. I'm gonna buy some Yeezys or some shit. I'm supporting the guy.
Well, you're gonna be supporting Adidas now because Adidas owns.
They even said TJ Maxx pulled out from selling Yeezys. I'm like, I didn't even know they had them up in there.
George
It's like
Soros.
everybody is pulling up out of them. It's like, this is crazy.
George Soros is behind the BLM scam. He's the one who is the puppet master behind that.
Okay, Ty, do you
I just want to say I'm gay and Latino, and the LGBT agenda has been in full force in Latin American countries. Trust me.
Okay, yeah. That's true. That's very true. That's very true.
It wouldn't be happening if everybody wasn't trying to fuck us.
Yeah, hey, you're not wrong with that one, my man. I wish I had you right here, right now. Hey, okay. I wasn't being insensitive, was I? My bad.
No, I wasn't. I'm not tripping. I'm just having fun with it. But you know.
Okay, all right, perfect. But that's the last thing I want to be. Go ahead.
You know, my thing is really, I just feel like everybody should be on the table. If we're gonna figure out in this country what the problems are, we should be able to say, hey, Black people, this is where I think you're messing up. Latinos, this is where I think you're messing up. And yeah, it's not gonna be everybody, and it's not gonna be a one size fits all for each group. But I think that we should be able to say that. And when it gets to Jewish people, yeah, you too. And if it's anti-Semitic or it's truly racist, then we shut it down, but not just the word. Not just as soon as you say it.
I agree with that man. It's like we're not allowed to even discuss.
They seem to be
like
above
we're not
reproach.
allowed to discuss these people, and
I
that's
agree.
a shame.
They do seem to be above reproach, and it's
they
not
do
fair,
for real.
and everybody should be on the table because we all do have a little responsibility in how messed up this country is right now. And really, we're not that bad because if you think about it, people are good. Like, you know, even when people talk about LGBT or the different things, like for the most part, people do have a good internal sense of morality. So it's not like we can't hear certain things. Like, let us at least hear certain things and talk them over. And yeah, like if it's truly hateful, then cut it off. That gets canceled.
Well, the
Absolutely.
LGBT community also, your ass will get canceled also. You come saying
I
things
know that, and
pocket
I am very vocal about not being in support of that either. Like,
it's like you can't even have the discussion. You can't even mention it, and I think that's unfortunate to move the culture.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Then you can't have honest conversations.
So let me ask this: as far as like, you know, no one being beyond reproach, what do you all think that the Jewish people are doing wrong aside from sticking together and running shit because that is the life that they live? What are they doing? What are they doing?
They're doing it right. That's the problem.
Yeah, they're coming up. Absolutely, they're doing it right.
What are they doing? What are they doing wrong other than running shit because they own shit?
Nothing.
What they're doing wrong. There's nothing wrong with owning your own shit. This is what Black leaders have been talking about for the last 80 years about, you know, owning your own stuff and running your own shit. Nothing wrong with that. You know, putting money back in your own community. Nothing wrong with that. You know, not disrespecting your own name. Nothing wrong with that. What I see as a problem is like what the young man, the LGBT Hispanic man said, that we can't even have a discussion.
Absolutely.
You can't even say a fact.
All right. It's tribalism.
You can't even say the truth, which is that yes, the Jewish community, you know, of that, the ones who do, because I don't mean to say that all Jewish people do, but of those people who do, they run most of the money, the banks, the corporations, media.
But again, right?
You can't even have a discussion.
Right. Again, hold on, Big Truck. But again, what should the Jewish people do? Like open up their banks and start giving out reparations to people? What do you
allow people to say what they want to say without being, you know, looked as you know, evil people.
Yeah, but what hold on.
Let's say we get to say, Jewish people, you own everything, and you give people fucked up contracts when they want to be rappers. You guys own all the banks and all the money. And the Jewish people, there are no repercussions for what we say about the Jewish people. What will we have gained? That is my question.
It's just the freedom of expression.
I wouldn't.
Well-
I would say that the issue is not necessarily. I would say the issue is not necessarily about the freedom of expression. It's about the control. The real issue is the control
There
of
you
the
go.
black voice. They have
Go to the
undue
voice.
influence in the black community. It is fine
It is
that
what?
you
It
run
is-
your bank. Wait, hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Wait, let me say something. I love y'all, but we don't need church. Let him finish saying what he's saying. I don't need that woohoo, yeah, because then it interrupts what he's saying, and I'm trying to hear what he's saying. I don't need church. Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's the undue influence in the black community, and what happens is that we as a community, Jewish people, you can run your business, you can run your banks, you can run your media, you can run your record companies. We have now had to have this final wake up call, because after many of our leaders, or many of our entertainers, and all these other people have been abused and misused financially. Maybe at this point there'll be a wake up call on this moment to say, look, let's stick with our own labels. Let's have our own businesses. Let's create our own banks, or support our own banks, because there are many black banks, and let us really build out a black community. Jewish culture functions the way that it does because of its spiritual infrastructure. At 7 o'clock at night, you cannot drive a car, or use any kind of motor devices or whatsoever. So everything is within walking distance, and it's convenient for those in that practice. So they build their communities around their synagogues. And so they have a real centralized purpose, and they have a strong connectivity. We don't do those same practices, so that's why we don't have the cultural nuances that you find in the Jewish community. So that aspect of it, I think, is what empowers them. And if we looked at it from that perspective and built our communities with a certain type of structure, we could too have the same successes.
I want to piggyback off of that. I want to say,
hold on, Workings. One moment. I'm gonna give you the biggest pushback ever, because, brothers, that sounds wonderful, right? But there are black-owned labels who rob, okay, their artists. The black churches in the neighborhood have been robbing the community and not reciprocating and not giving a damn thing back. So before we say, well, we need to own more things, do we get just as corrupt as the quote-unquote Jews when we are in power? Is Diddy not known in the industry as Big Red because all of his artists disappear?
Somebody's TV's on.
No, I agree, and I think, and answer to your question,
the black church is not owned. What have they done for the community?
In answer to your question, if you really want to understand my perspective, because I'm way far to the left, what we did in '92, the bad businesses in South Central LA got burnt up. The good businesses did not. That were there some casualties? Yes. But when it comes down to it, yes. If you're a bad church and you're pimping the people, we should shut you down. If you're and really make a collective decision and a determination, we are going to own the responsibilities of our community. And we are now going to start addressing issues collectively, and it's set up a real infrastructure. But anytime that has happened, all of a sudden there is an issue that comes up. Folks start saying, what are y'all doing over there? Y'all can't do that over there. And then it becomes a problem. So I really believe that we really have to take a full and complete stance as a community and say, this is what we're doing for ourselves. And anybody that comes in and tries to disrupt it, we'll deal with you.
So let me
I'll
throw it to you, World Kings, after this. So it sounds to me like everybody has to mind their own fucking community. Because I think if our communities were more worried about what the fuck we were doing, then we would have been so hell-bent on what the Jewish people are doing to us.
I agree with that. But
Jen, they didn't do.
Let me hop in here.
Hold on, hold on. The Jews didn't do anything to us. First of all, I think it's so funny. Hold on. You know what I think is so funny? Everybody's worried about what the Jews are doing. You got your entire block taken over by the Chinese. You got half your other block taken over by Indians. When y'all want to get food, you're calling a Chinese food restaurant, or you are going to the Jews if you got to go to the doctor, the dentist, this, that, and the other. They're not doing anything to you.
I agree with that. I agree with Big Truck. I agree.
Let me finish saying this. As far as this whole thing about church, I appreciate the fact that the Jews shut their lights off at 5 on a Friday and that they're in that synagogue. Guess what? Blacks used to be in church too. Now they don't go at all, and then they act either surprised or indifferent when they find out that there's a pimp in the pulpit driving a Rolls Royce who has a gigantic gold chain and his church gets robbed. So here's the thing. You can't have it both ways. If you're going to do nothing and be lazy, then don't be surprised when your community gets taken over by the Chinese, the Indians, the Jews, and whoever else wants to come in. And
Facts.
the last thing I'm going to say is, bottom line is, they are doing more for you than you're doing for yourself. So
I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
Hold on. You know what?
Let me hop in there. Let me hop in there.
Hold on. You know what slipped my mind? You know what slipped my mind? That entire premise about the Jews owning everything. Excuse me. No, hold on. That entire premise about the Jews owning everything. The entire premise about the Jews. Excuse me. Hold on. The entire premise about the Jews owning everything is a lie. If you look and see the richest immigrant groups in this country, Chinese, Indians, and people from Southeast Asia, it's not the Jews that own everything. And when it comes to real power, that's where the real power is. That's why this country's in a recession right now.
Okay.
Let me hop in there.
Yeah, I don't think it's the fact that the Jews owning things. I think it's the fact, the control that they have.
Jen, let me please respond.
Media.
Hey, let World King speak, because I did keep interrupting him like 3 times over. So let him speak, and then I'll pass the mic.
Okay, what I want to say is Jen and Ish, y'all are saying exactly what needs to be done. Instead of sitting up there complaining or whatever, what they're doing, Black folks need to go ahead and take control of their culture, of everything. Because Black people, they let anybody in the culture.
Yeah.
They let anybody say anything. They let anybody do anything within the culture. So it's like the culture is supposed to be ours, but it's not ran by us. Anybody can have an opinion on it. Anybody can jump in it. Instead, we need to be studying and see what the Jews are doing. That allows them to stop people from speaking on what they're doing. You can't jump into their culture unless you're Jewish. You can't do none of the stuff that they're able to do at the top. We need to figure out how to do that and come up with ways to do that instead of worrying about what they're doing. We need to study how they're doing it and then implement that and kind of like mirror that to kind of do our own thing. Find a way to shut people down when they say stuff about Black people. Your ass will get canceled. We need to figure out how to do different
May
stuff.
I speak, Jen?
Jen, let me please respond.
Okay. I have 50 people in the room. My likes aren't matching the people that are lurking. So all the lurkers, you are enjoying this. I know that for a fact, fuckers. So can you hit like? Can you hit like for me and subscribe? Gracias, Brother Ishka.
Okay, so I would like to say this first of all. When you talk about the people that own that have businesses in the Black community, we also know about redlining. We also know that Bank of America has to give out loans now to individuals in the Black community because they were being biased and not allowing them to acquisition a loan. When you talk about foreign entities or foreign groups that have the ability to open up businesses in the Black community, they also have other resources or countries to go to say, hey, look, can we get a loan? So we're an immigrant here in this country and we need some finances from our mother country. Those circumstances do exist. There are opportunities and options exist, but there's also, again, a system in place, which is called redlining. So those things happen. That's why there's not a lot of ownership in the Black community. So you have to speak with comprehensive understanding versus just castigating the simple saying, oh, well, they're lazy. That's why they don't have this. That's not it. Because you don't make slaves out of lazy people. Sorry. That's just the reality.
Redlining is an excuse.
How do they get churches on every corner then? Help me out.
Exactly. It's an excuse.
Can I speak?
Corner.
I mean, go ahead.
Jen, you have a super chat.
I mean, I can respond to that, but go ahead.
No, please tell me if it's impossible for them to get big trust. If Blacks acted more like Jews, they'd be
masters of the universe.
Oh, I agree. So how do they get churches on every corner, brother?
Well, they have, again, the churches don't pay taxes, so all that money is just revenue coming in. So every Sunday they say you can buy your way into the afterlife. Just give us, a tithe, and all of a sudden all this money comes in because people know that all the week they've been doing is sinning and getting into all these kind of wild scenarios. And then on Sunday, they're like, okay, let me just pay this little tithe to get my way into the afterlife because I've been out there hoeing off for the rest of the week. So, I mean, that we can go into the sociology of it, but that's not really the dynamics. Let me address it. Let me respond to that church point, because Minister Farrakhan made one point that was very wise. He said every church should go in there and starting a business for the community. So you should have Church of God in Christ green beans and Pentecostal supermarket. If you are taking all this money out of the Black community, then you should put it back into the Black community through businesses, and the churches should be giving out loans since they have a great degree of the revenue. I think it was genius for him to present that as an idea and as an option, and that's something that should be considered but is not addressed.
The churches don't want to give Blacks loans because they know most of us are credit risks, except me.
Can I say something, Jen?
Go ahead, Joanna.
I agree with the gentleman said down below. I agree with just about everybody. Big Truck, I'm conservative. I'm no excuses. I agree that the Jewish community have not done anything to Black people. Like I said in the other show, nobody makes you sign a contract, and you should always read the bottom line and this and that. I don't believe in victim Olympics. Nobody has done anything to us. I agree with you on that. And I agree with a lot of what Brother Ish was saying, not about the redlining thing, but about, how there's all kinds of avenues where so-called Black people can rally their community. But right now, as Kanye is being castrated of his business and his manhood, there are Black people who are still going to go and buy and support Adidas. They're still going to put their money in JP Morgan Bank, Chase Bank. They're still going to go to Gap. So if anything, like Kanye, I envy this culture.
Yep, she's right. She's right.
I envy the way they stick together no matter what, and not just say, well, he shouldn't have opened his mouth, which I agree he shouldn't have. Jewish people don't go around opening their mouths. I agree with that. Move in silence. But still, the fact of the matter, if one of them did, they're not going to chastise them in public. They're not going to berate them. They're not going to do any of those things. Black people are their worst enemy because they do not stick together. And a lot of people like to say we're not a monolith. I agree, but perhaps we should adopt a culture where we are, where we do stick, where we do codify our behaviors, where we, all these rapper millionaires, there's no reason why anybody could just come in and be a rapper. Black people from the very get-go should have codified rapping and said that you had to be Black to be a rapper. You had to be Black to be able to sell these collard greens. You have to be Black to be able to sell soul food. You have to be, there's so many different things that we just allow anybody just to come in because we want to say we're all brothers and sisters. Well, we're not. We're different. And that's one thing that I agree with, is that we're not like everybody else. We're different. And let's be proud of that. Everybody else is proud of their differences. The Chinese are proud of their differences. The Jewish people are proud of their differences. Italians, Irish, everybody's proud. But and they hold on to that, and they build a wall around that. That is the issue. And so I agree with you, Big Truck. And I agree with a lot of what other people are saying, including you, Brother Ish, is just on that one point about redlining.
So I would say this, there has been moments, again, where we've had the opportunity to coalesce as a culture and as a community. And normally when that's done, we've also always had what we believed is a greater enemy on the other side. So when we had the Jim Crow laws and separations, you had communities that were Black communities that were thriving, that were economically successful, Black hotels, Santa Monica, which is a very Caucasian area used to be a very thriving and rich Black community.
Facts.
And I did not know that. And I grew up in LA, went to school near Santa Monica, and even lived near Santa Monica. And when I saw the history, it blew my mind. Santa Monica used to be Black like Compton. And it was just amazing when there was a segregated areas, which I don't agree with segregation, but I do believe in separation. And what we see is in the Jewish community, there's separation. It's just these lines are culturally acknowledged, but they're not enforced governmentally. And I think that that's what needs to be done.
And
for those who when you talked about contracts, listen to Dave Chappelle's speech, stand up about his contract and what he would, his inexperience in this business and the people that he thought he could trust when he was signing these major deals that were in front of him. And he would look at those professionals, not knowing that those professionals were aligned with the people on the other side of the table. So listen to that monologue when he talks about that, because that really is a condition. It's not like, okay, I've worked all these years to be a great performer and entertainer, and now I have these contracts in front of me, and I look to my attorney, who everyone says, go with this Jewish attorney if you're going to be successful, and you do it, and this guy is good friends with the other guy who's the CEO of the company, and they're negotiating terms within it, and when you look to your attorney and you say, is this a good contract? And he says, yes, sign this deal. And you don't realize that you don't have the wherewithal or the information to know, okay, this clause is going to bite me in the tail years later.
But Diddy does shit like that. Diddy does shit like that, and he's not Jewish. Diddy does that.
Ish. I wanted to say the Ish.
And he should be addressed on those issues.
Ish. That's the problem. It's not sticking together. It's like Joanna was saying and Jim was saying. Black folks simply do not stick together and do not stay on code. It's simple and plain. And I don't know if it ever happened. What you do see in the Jewish community is they stick together and they stay on code. If one of them say, I'm not fucking with Kanye, that means we're not fucking with Kanye. If one of them says, I'm not fucking with this person, that means we're not fucking with him. Black people are like when the whole Gucci thing happened. And we were wrong. But so I guess it was it was some issues with Gucci, and everybody was saying we're not gonna wear it. You always got one or two people that come out and say Gucci ain't never did nothing to me. I'm gonna wear it anyway. It's simple stuff like that. It's simple stuff like that.
Did nothing to me.
He's so clear.
Exactly.
You're so right, because when Kanye took the mic from Taylor Swift, I felt like that was rude. I still feel like that was rude, but I didn't have to say it in public. I didn't have to say it on my Facebook page. I could have kept my mouth shut.
I agree with you exactly on what you said. Blacks don't stick together. But here's the thing. How can you talk about sticking together? We can't even stay married. You can't even have a family. And
I'm not even talking about that, fam. I'm talking about on basic things.
That is basic. That's the reason why Jews have it so strong.
No. I'm just talking about whether you're married or not. Whether you're married or not. It could be a whole bunch of single. It could be a whole bunch of single people. And if they say that we're not gonna go into Gucci, everybody needs to say we're not going to go into Gucci. Even if you go into Gucci on the low, don't come out.
Excuse me, where are these kids getting the money? They're getting it from their single mother. That's where they're getting the money. You think they're getting this money from their father to buy those ugly ass $500 sneakers? Of course not. They're getting it from their mom's welfare check.
No, but what I'm saying, you're missing my point. I'm just saying that people are not sticking together. Black people are not sticking together, and they're not on code. You're missing the whole point. Just like when Donald Trump said, when Donald Trump said, I grabbed the woman by the pee. You notice, didn't no white women? Hold on. You notice? Hold on. Did you notice? Did no white women come out and say that was wrong? They probably behind the scenes. No, they didn't.
Do you watch The View? Every last
no, they didn't.
White women, Joy Behar, all of them said.
No, they didn't.
Rosie
no,
O'Donnell,
they didn't.
You're not calling them white women? Are you kidding? Oh, do you know?
I'm saying for the majority, there was white women that were quiet about it. They probably felt something.
That's disgusting.
They probably felt something about it. They probably put them to, man, Donald, you know, that was some bullshit to the side, but they didn't really come out and say it.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Hold on, if somebody else, if Obama would have said that, wait. If Obama would have said that, it would have been so many people saying that shit was wrong.
It was wrong, but guess what? Nobody.
But I'm saying, I know, but they stayed on code, is what I'm saying. You're missing the whole point. The whole point is not. The whole point is not sticking together. It's not sticking together. They're not
go to
sticking
church
together.
on Sunday.
They're
meet
not
on
sticking
Sunday.
together.
Every Sunday they meet while you're sleeping.
You don't have to go to
while
church. You don't
you're
have to
sitting
do
at
all
home
that stuff.
playing
Just stay
while
on
you're sitting
code.
at home playing Madden.
You don't have to. You can play Madden. Just stay
while
on
you're sitting at
code.
home on PlayStation 5.
You can stay on PlayStation 5. Just stay
while
on
you're sitting at
code.
home
Did you
doing
get it?
nothing, Dad.
You can do nothing. Just stay on code.
Jen,
can I jump in for 2
studying to be
seconds?
doctors and lawyers. The same doctors and lawyers you need.
And for the record, Mel Gibson did get canceled.
He did.
Mel Gibson got canceled, but he still made good movies though.
He's still working. He's still
he got
working
canceled
though.
because he talked about the Jews. That's why he got canceled.
What you mean? Concrete. It's a great
Wait,
movie.
let me read the super chat, guys. Let's have a commercial break real quick. Thank you, the Clue Channel, for the super chat. Let me address this real quick. Why y'all so scared of the Jews? Now, mind you, we scared of the Jews, but he spelled the juice.
Right.
I'm gonna rock with it. I've been saying Jewish and Jew all night, but this guy's scared to say Jewish while he's asking us why we're afraid of the Jews.
We scared of the Jews. OJ. We scared of OJ.
Right. Jen, he said, I'm glad Kanye said what he said about the Jews. I just hope he doesn't bitch up like Nick Cannon and apologize. And then this other guy here said, Ninja's talking about power, but scared of the Jews. I love it. First of all, do you have $2 billion on the line, Free Zone Lou? Probably not. The Clue, I asked you the same shit. No one's scared of the Jews. We're actually up here having a conversation about the Jews. While you over there scared to call them Jews, you're saying juice. I don't know why. That sounds like a scary Negro to me, but I digress. Okay? Nobody's scared of anything. We're talking about everything here. I'm not scared of anybody. If I got beef with you, it's going to be beef forever, right? But like other people, I ain't no Jewish person did nothing to me. And I know if I go in and I'm just coming in with my talent and them motherfuckers own the house always wins. That's common sense. Now, if I don't want to deal with them, then Jen has to stay independent and sell CDs out the back of the trunk of a car.
Yep.
It is very interesting that they would characterize our. It is very interesting that those two people would characterize our conversation as being afraid.
Jen, you have another
right. That's very interesting. But let me say this. The
Jen,
other dynamic that I think is an unfair comparison. I would like to say that there is an unfair comparison when we talk about different cultures and different groups of individuals who migrated in versus those who were kidnapped and brought into this country and were also stripped of their identity. So when you talk about that whole dynamic, you have to always take into consideration that these are generations of traumatized people. And when you have traumatized people who don't have the same cultural foundations as immigrants do, then you're going to have erratic behavior. So I really don't think that when we talk about why Blacks can't unite was because we're a discombobulated, confused collective, and that we really have to sit down and realign ourselves. And that's why, I reiterate, pulling us to a side, separating us. If we got to infight it all the way out, and the best and the ones that win and survive are the ones that now run the Black community, that may be how it has to play itself out. But ultimately, we need to kind of step out of this whole situation and get our culture and our community and our people of mutts together.
That's never going to happen, though. That's never going to happen because you have people that, say somebody's married to a white woman. He's not going to leave his white woman to come over and congregate.
You don't have to leave her. If she don't want to go with you, then you divorce. You can bottom line, she can come in, but you got to follow our rules. It's just like
exactly.
It's just like the Jewish community. You don't have to be a Jew from the start, but when you get with them, you have to convert to the Jewish faith.
You have to fall into the program. One brother, and I'll tell you a private conversation. One brother asked the minister, "What would it look like in relationship to us having our own land?" He said, "Leave your guns and your porn at the border, and you can come on in."
Thank you.
Well, again, stay on that side. But this would be a separated society, just like they have with the American Indians, and we would have our own culture, and we would set our own terms and rules.
I ain't leaving my guns. Not living.
Yeah, I'm not leaving my. I'm not leaving my guns.
I paid $2,000 for this Desert Eagle.
No,
I'm not leaving my guns, Ish.
Well, look, let me say this.
We need the guns, Ish. We need them.
I'm not saying that we're going to be a gunless society. I'm saying you leave your guns and you follow our rules on how to get a gun. That's how that really works out.
No, thank you. So
And
moving
Ish,
on.
brother Ish, can I just? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jen.
Big Truck says, I love choose my doctor, lawyer, CPA, and work wife.
Brother Ish, I love what you just said.
Yeah, you was right.
I agree with what you just said. But am I wrong for having this point of contention? When we talk about the slaves, when we talk about how majority, and I agree, a majority of people who look like you and I came over here in slavery. But is my point of contention, am I wrong for having this point of contention that in 1619, what is not reported is that there was at least 25 to 30 thousand people who look like you and I already here on this continent. I'm not talking about Native Americans. I'm not talking about a mixture of Asians and whatever. I'm talking about people who are already landed on this continent, brother Ish, since 1312. This is recorded history that we've already been coming to this continent. And so my point is that we don't all have the same ancestors. We don't all have the same traumas. If we don't all have the same ancestors, every person who looked like you and I was not a slave. There was a lot of free people who look like you and I here. The people who you're talking about, who started, it started, from 1619. But although they were coming over here before then as slaves down in the Caribbean, in Central America, and South America before then. But my point is that wrong for me to bring up that point of contention that we were not all here in bondage and slavery, so therefore we don't have all the same ancestors?
I would say in response to that the same dog that bit us bit them as well, because the colonizers, when they came into this country, they also waged war against all the indigenous people that were here in this country. So when they were going around affecting the food supply, giving the Native American smallpox, going to wars, doing bad treaties after wars. Like there's even to the factor where reservations now can't even dig for mineral wealth on their own land. So which wasn't their land, it was land that they were migrated to. So there's an insidious history that exists within our presence here on this continent, whether we were here at from ancient times to when Europeans came to America. They were the problem child in this country all the way through and through. I'm just going to call it what it is. And the aspect of, even when you did have Black communities that were off to themselves, that were economically successful, the jealous and envious Caucasians that lived in the country would then go down and burn and destroy those cities and bury them under create landfills and lakes over many cities that exist across the United States that were Black empowered communities. So this is not just a situation where Black people are inherently lazy or we're not smart enough to do it. Those that were smart enough to do it then were attacked. So we have to now consider
Brother
that
Ish, I agree with
history.
all those points, but this is what I'm asking you. Do you accept and agree that we were not all in bondage, we were not all in slavery, even during the slave era? There were my point is, when Harriet Tubman, if you believe in Harriet Tubman, my point is, when Harriet Tubman was a slave, there were free Black people walking around on this continent.
That's a historical fact. The Seminole Indians were primarily.
I'm not talking about Indians. That's why I differentiated that.
No, I understand you differentiated, but collectively there were mutual relationships with
a
lot of the indigenous people.
I see what she's saying. I see what she's saying.
So I agree with what you're saying.
I'm saying that there were Black people who owned businesses, who had homes, who raised their children, who had land. This is what I'm saying. And so when you put us all in the same boat and say that we were all great, we were all put in slavery and we're all in chains, that is not a historical fact.
Well, yeah. Well, you identify yourself there's a very basic way to identify yourself as a Black American. Is your grandma from the South? Are your people from the South? Most of us black people in the United States, our people came from the South. So I agree with what you were saying earlier also, Ish, about the immigrants, and when they come from another land, they come together. And so that goes back to what me and Jim was saying, is that I don't think that because we don't have that immigration a bond together, that we'll never be able to get the bond that they created from that, because it's like that immigration is what bonded them together, because they have a homeland that they all represent. We don't know whether we want to be from Africa, whether we want to be from America, whether we want to be from Jamaica, whether we want to be from Puerto Rico, whether we want to be from DR, whether we want to be from wherever.
Facts.
We're not on one accord.
Facts.
And that goes back to that's the basic
that's the basic issue
right now.
So let
of
me
what Kanye is talking about, and what everybody's talking about.
Let me jump in. Such a great point, World Kings. But our experience here is unique. We are a mixed race people within a race, right? We all different ethnicities and different foods and different culture and different music. What I hate about panels that go on and on and on and on for hours is all the what we gotta do is what we should do is, but all we gotta do is stay married. And all we gotta do is open a business. And all we gotta do is stop doing drugs, cursing with. It's never going to happen. When are we going to say some people have to get left the fuck behind? Why is it that the most successful Black people in this country are the ones that do not go back to the block?
I agree with that. There's nothing wrong with saying that everybody is not going to go. There's an African proverb that goes something like,
all the wealthy people that are doing the damn thing have detached themselves from the degeneracy. I'll give you a great example. The man with the restaurant, I believe, in Dallas. He owns restaurants. He expanded now to nightclubs. He's an attorney. He is Black, beautiful family, 2 boys, wife. He has a restaurant. Women were twerking at his restaurant.
Right.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, he threw them out. He was attacked by who? Was he attacked by Jewish people? Was he attacked by white people? No, he was attacked by Black people who were insisting that twerking in his restaurant was okay because those women spent money to eat there. And he said, y'all can get the fuck on.
Those people should not be allowed to be invited to the party. We should divest from. I agree with divesting from degeneracy.
Right. So I think the problem is not what we should do is no. You have to understand that
the first thing we should do is throw out the degenerates, and I said that on your last show.
It's fucking detached. I think that's our biggest fucking issue, is that we don't detach, and that creates what World Kings was saying, where it's like, well, you want to be this, you want to be that. Well, what about us over here? Well, I don't care. Nobody ever did nothing to me. I'm gonna go over here with these white people. You have to detach and do your own thing. We are not a monolith. We're never going to be a monolith. When we show us the hell ain't never going to be the Jewish, right? We show
Nope.
Jewish. So when we see stuff like that happen, we have to understand, just like that attorney who owns the restaurants and now he owns clubs, we have to detach. He said, get your twerking ass the fuck out my restaurant. This is not how I live. This is not how I want my family to live. Get the fuck out, and let them all cancel each other out and twerk in Miami or whatever the fuck it is.
And they were wrong. And they were wrong for that. There's so many places for you to go twerk.
Right.
There's so many places for you to go twerk where it's appropriate to twerk at.
Defend those people, because that is what we do. We defend them like, what? Twerking is African. It's okay. They spent money to eat there, and that therein lies the issue.
So, Jim, where should we draw the line? Because I agree with throwing the degenerates out, but I also agree that if this is going to work. If we're going to have power on this continent, there has to be some kind of code. Where do you draw the line, Jen? Help me, because I agree with what you're saying. I agree 100%.
I think we have to let go. It's like believing in Santa Claus. He's not real, right? We have to let go.
Santa Claus is real.
We're all gonna come together one day and be this beautiful Wakanda. I love the movie, but it's not gonna happen with us, and we have to let.
So are we letting go the notion of us ever having power on this continent?
Yes, Jen.
No. You can have power, but you're saying everybody's not gonna be involved in that. Is what you're saying.
Jen, before you move on, let me ask you.
Wait a minute, Big Truck. Here's the thing. world kings. We already have that power structure. Like when you see, wait a minute, when you see Kevin Hart, Jay-Z, Diddy, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock in a fucking room together, that is black power.
All right, Jim.
Everybody can't come.
Exactly.
Everybody's not allowed in that room, so we have power.
Jen, also, when you see the funded business, when you see the funded business.
Let me finish.
I've been trying to get this out before you move on.
Let me finish, and then I'll pass the mic. There is hella power in this country amongst us. The problem with us is we think everybody's supposed to be in that room. Everybody's not supposed to be in that room. We think that the twerking girls,
I agree.
We think they're supposed to be in that room. They are not supposed to be in that room because they don't qualify. And once we get it out our heads that just because we got melanin, we're supposed to qualify, we'll be much better off.
Now,
I agree.
The thing that you say about detaching and getting rid of the people who are the worst for the community, here's a simple question for you. Who do you see trying to keep these people in the loop more? Who do you see sticking up for and trying to keep these people in the loop for more? Black women or black men?
Black people in general.
No, I didn't say that. I asked black women or black men.
You asked me a question.
It depends on what panel you're on,
I'm
Big
asking
Truck.
one or the other, black women or black men?
Black people in general. Because we have a black man on the panel right now, okay? What did he say on the last show? Oh, let them come. What did you want to say? Let them go. A black man on the panel said, let them come. I see black women and black men saying, no, let them come. Everybody can't come. Everybody can't come. Period. And that's the problem, that we keep having these panels and we're like, no, one day we're all going to be a monolith and work together. No, that's
never going to happen.
That's never going to happen. But I do agree.
I'll agree to it.
But see, they don't allow their degenerates to take over their culture, and that's what we do. That's our problem.
That goes back to what I said earlier. Black people let everybody in. They let everybody into our culture. We let everybody eat off of it, and we don't charge them like they charge us when we go into their culture.
Well, no, but I'm talking about the people who look like us. We let them in, and they don't belong.
Everybody charges us to get in their culture. We don't charge them.
But I'm talking.
Break bread with them. They don't break bread with us, and we.
But I'm
so that's our fault.
But I'm specifically talking about the other black people. Some of them are not allowed to be there.
It's simple. If they are not contributing, they should not be let in on the strength of, oh, but we share melanin. Period.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Period.
Because Jen, and I was gonna say also, there is power within the black community. The hair weave, the black Latino, the hair weave industry. That business makes so much money. So the money's there.
If we can get black women to stop buying theirs and start buying
and start making their own. The money's there.
Start growing your own hair.
Hair though, just for the record, there are black women who sell hair.
Start growing.
They are, but for the major majority, Jen, I'm talking about put your something not all sign up real quick. The major majority of people is the Asians.
Right,
that run that community.
Asians have a culture where they stick together like the Jewish.
Exactly. And they have a culture where they have a culture where you gotta break bread with them, but they're not gonna break bread with you.
Right, but it doesn't matter what.
But nobody's making us buy their stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody's holding a gun.
How many times do we have to see this happen when those Asian people beat up on those black women? Was there not a line the next day of women saying,
the next day,
done? I don't care.
Yeah.
The next day.
The next day, yep.
The next, even when black men went out there to defend them, the next day was like, can you get out of my way? I need to get my hair done. Everybody can't come.
Yeah, those people need to go.
Yeah, but
those people need to go.
That fight and they got their asses whipped.
Brother Ish, and I read in Bacon's Rebellion. 17 something, I don't remember. Bacon's Rebellion. You got a computer, y'all can look it up. Y'all got a computer, I'm on the phone. They turned around and they said, who is with us? Against the slave masters. And the people who stepped forward said, I'm with you. The people who stepped back, they turned around and said, all you who step forward, turn around and kill the ones who didn't. That was either Bacon's Rebellion or the other guy. There was many slave rebellions.
The other
But
guy.
my point is, they recognized that everybody was not with them. They recognized that everybody can't go. Everybody didn't want power. Everybody didn't want freedom. And those who don't want freedom, those chicks who who turned around and got back in that hairline at the Chinese hair shop, they should have been ostracized from the community. What say you on that?
Women who
Brother
got beat
Ish?
up earned that shit. They're the ones who started the fight in somebody else's shop. If you've got a problem with the person's
Of course, I agree with that point, Big Ish, big truck. Of course, I agree with that.
You know that
But
them ratchet ass women started that fight.
I agree, Big Truck. But I want to ask Brother Ish, what should have been done with those ratchet ass chicks?
But they didn't do anything wrong. They came there because they themselves had never been mistreated.
Okay, the ones who got back in line to go and continue to support the Asian hair
did nothing
stuff.
wrong. That's their choice. If you get good service, then that's how they treat
Okay,
you.
so what are we talking about, Big Truck? Are we talking about codifying the culture or not?
No, what I'm saying is you can't simply decide that you're just going to pick a side based on how somebody else gets treated based on fucking skin color. That's fucking racist. That's stupid.
Well, that's what Jim was talking about.
That's what this whole show is about.
That's what Jim was talking about.
That's what this whole show is about. This whole show is about.
Hold on.
If you treat a Jewish person a certain way, the rest of them are not fucking with you.
Big Truck.
Whether or not Kanye West was ganged up by corporation and whether or not they're using their power.
That's what Jim was just saying about how some black people will turn around and say, well, they didn't do nothing to me. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Everybody who's your color ain't your kind. But just because you go out and do
that's what we're saying, brother. You're missing the whole point. That's what Jen just
about the Asian women at the fucking beauty parlor. Who brought that shit in?
Jen just said a soliloquy about people not coming with us.
Yeah,
she just said that. She just said everybody can't come with you.
That's dumb.
So you're already making points that we already know. Everybody that's black is not your people. Everybody that's Puerto Rican is not going to be your people.
Just
everybody
because they don't choose to follow you doesn't mean that they're doing something wrong. If you start a fucking fight and you can't finish it and they choose not to follow your ass, that's got nothing to do with your skin.
Well, let's just use the Gucci one. When Gucci disrespected the black people, and you still had black people saying, "Man, fuck that, they ain't do nothing to me. I got $1 million worth of Gucci in my closet. I'm finna wear it is."
Now, very simply, what did Gucci do to black people? Hold on, what did Gucci do to black people? Explain that. What did Gucci do to black people? Explain it.
There was a big thing about it.
You're having two different conversations right now.
What did Gucci do to black people?
You're having two different conversations.
What did Gucci do to black?
You're having two different conversations.
You can't even tell me.
Chuck, you're talking in echo chamber right now.
No, I'm not
you're having two different conversations.
What did Gucci do to blacks? Why can't you answer the question?
Chuck, you're having two different conversations.
That's bullshit. See, if you're gonna throw in a red herring,
do you see what I'm saying? He's not listening.
That's why I'm not even going to speak on it. Everybody knows about that.
I'm glad you know.
Everybody knows about that. Everybody knows about the Gucci situation. It's a waste of time to speak on it.
Because I don't want it. But not because they did something to black people, which you can't even explain.
Chuck, you're arguing for arguing.
So, Big Truck, do you think that black people should codify around having their own, barricaded culture at all?
Barricaded culture?
First of all, as long as they don't do nothing to him in specific, he don't give a damn.
Excuse me, I reject your premise. First of all,
because I thought you said how the Jews do their thing is right. I thought Big Truck.
I thought you connected by a religion. Black people
some people just have to be left behind.
You're trying to connect people based on skin color.
You don't have to do anything to them. Here's what I think. Some people have to be left behind. This whole thing of I help you, you help me. There's a wonderful chain of Wakanda. That's what I'm against. I say detach. Get in that room. Okay, that's
divest. The word is divest.
Everybody doesn't feel that way. Everybody thinks go back to the hood and help people get shot in the head. I don't believe in that. I believe the people that should come will make an effort to show that they deserve to come, like the dudes in those rooms.
No, I agree with you. Divest. That's the best option.
Can I answer her question to me, and if you can just reiterate your question so I respond correctly.
I basically just want to, I use that as a metaphor for today. Do you think the people who do not step up, to back each other up, like the Jewish community does, like the Asians do, like the Muslims that we see do, like the Indians do. Do you think the people who, like somebody said, if you do something to one of us, we're not going to support you whatsoever, none of us. Do you think that it should be that way with the so-called black people, where
Absolutely.
you hurt one of us,
Absolutely.
you hurt, we won't do any business with you. We're not buying any more Adidas. We're gonna, we'll starve before we go to another, whatever grocery store or whatever. We'll build our own whatever. Or do you think we should just divest from the ones who are causing the problems and build from there? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Divest from the problem makers.
Chuck, she's asking me a question.
She asked the question and I answered it.
She wasn't talking to you, Chuck. She was
I
talking to me.
answered the question. Divest.
Okay, so Chuck, if you didn't learn in school that when the teacher
Samuel Jackson speaking. Hold on,
then you don't speak. If your Tourette's has not been corrected, then you
Joanna,
need some medication for your behavior
who was that
problems.
question addressed to?
She said it was directed to me, and I asked her directly to reiterate the question.
Yeah, all right.
She directed it to me.
All right, so good. Answer the question.
Well, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate you giving me permission. Okay, I'm sorry. I appreciate you giving me permission to answer a question that was directed to me.
Answer it. Good job.
So, sis, let me say this. I think that it's a two-pronged approach. I think, yes, we should wall off and set a standard of how you exist in this environment. And I also think that there is a pathway of redemption. If you go through this pathway, you can come through these walls. If you do not, then you stay on the outside of those walls. And that should be how it's set up. The nation does it as a common practice. When you come into the mosque, you have to not have guns, drugs, tobacco, cigarette lighters, a knife. You cannot come into the mosque like that. And we search you before you come in. And then when you come in, it's all clear. So I believe the same thing should happen in our new social construct that we're proposing, is that we establish these terms, we have a land of our own, and that these are the terms of being involved and engaged in our community. And if you don't want to follow these rules, then you go on the other side there and you deal with your enemy.
I appreciate that, because as much as I'm not a fan of Kanye West, I'm not appreciating how he's being treated. And I wish that there was some kind of support for him in the so-called black community who gets it, not the degenerates, but the people who get it. I don't like what's being done to him. Not that people have done something to him, but my point is what I'm saying it like Kanye said. I envy what they have. I wish that we had that. I wish that we could move on this planet in the United States or whatever and know that we got somebody who has our back, who we can fall back onto, that if we need to survive, to eat or whatever, that we don't have to go outside of the community. That's what I wish. I'm not saying, Truck, that they've done anything. I agree. They've done nothing to us. The majority of the harm has been done to ourselves. I just wish there was a way that, and I get what Jen's saying, but I just wish there was a way for some of us, not all, get your sign up, Jen, some of us, not all, to come together in such a way that we have some kind of support when these type of things happen.
Joanna, but even on this situation, it's going to be kind of hard, okay? Because say we all even try to come together and say, all right, we ain't fucking with Adidas. Because of our off-codedness, it's got us into a hole. Because even if we say it, there's still basketball players, football players, boxers.
Exactly.
There's still people that are signed to Adidas. You know what I'm saying? There's still people that are pushing shoes and stuff for Adidas. So you may not say.
But what did Adidas say? I would rather lose my $246 million than continue to do business with you. So that's the same. We have to have the same firmness. Okay, it's a breach of contract. I'm not getting this extra $5 million in my salary, but I'm not going to do business with you. We just have to be more principled.
That's unrealistic and ridiculous. That's unrealistic and absolutely.
A company just did it. Adidas just did it.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And here is why. Here is why. Kanye basically got fired for mouthing off at his boss. If any one of us mouths off at our boss, we are getting canned. What is so hard to understand about that? Anybody here who doesn't have their own business, if you mouth off at your boss has every right to show you the door. Why should I stop buying Adidas because Kanye got fired for mouthing off at his boss? Now, had Kanye just got fired for being black, that's a different conversation. But Kanye got fired for mouthing off with his boss without giving a 2 weeks notice. That's all that.
Well, they were partners, but there's still the same thing still applies. They were partners though.
This is not that. This is not that. Kanye is not being abused. He has a hell of a lot of support from the black community. You should see my news feed on Facebook. This was all a plan. Everybody boycott Gap and Adidas. Yeah, save Kanye. Free Kanye. He has
A lot of people are doing. I see people burning their Adidas stuff and all that. So he does have support. I see people burning Adidas, throwing it out, and all that.
Yeah. Oh well, not me. Kanye ain't gonna buy me sneakers.
Well, I don't wear Adidas anyway. I never wore Adidas.
If he's gonna give me some sneakers, then I'll throw away my Adidas. If he's gonna give me some Yeezys, and not that I would ever wear them ugly shits, but why am I falling on a sword for Kanye? What has he done for the community? What has he done for me just because he's black? I'm supposed to throw out my sneakers just because he's black?
He did give some money to George Floyd's family. That might be the only black family he's done anything for, but he did do that. And they turned around and they're suing him.
Yeah. Because he said the cop who killed George Floyd didn't really kill George Floyd. That's why.
Yeah. Because he's followed and he was sniffing up behind Candace Owens' ass, and that's what got him into a lot of this. Because he took a lot of her talking points and kind of reiterated it, trying to call himself being a front line.
What's wrong with saying that white lives matter?
No, it's nothing wrong with that.
What's your name? I forgot. What's your name, sir?
My name is World Kings. I don't have no
What's
problem.
wrong with saying white lives matter, sir?
Nothing at all. It was wrong for him to say about the George Floyd. The George Floyd comment was wrong to me. But he got that talking point from Candace Owens because the
coroner's report did include fentanyl and meth in his system participating.
But I said that a time before. I said that a time before. If I do cocaine, listen. If I do some cocaine, listen. If I do some cocaine right now and I get shot in my head, I die from the shot to my head, not from the cocaine. They're gonna find cocaine in my system, of course. But I died from the shot to my head. So he took her talking point. He never believed that, but because he was trying to help her promote her documentary. You guys got to look at the timing of how this happened.
Yeah,
you got to look at the timing.
Well, I could say that
that was a beautiful marketing strategy. Don't get me wrong. It's all fair in the game. That was good game to me, but I mean, it was wrong if you look at it like that.
I want to answer Joanna's question. First, I want to acknowledge Don Levan's comment. You can't come to work and talk shit about your boss and dare him to fire you and expect not to get fired. Kanye West did say repeatedly, I can say anti-Semitic shit and Adidas can't stop me.
And the reason why he said he can say that is because he said that he was Semitic.
And he said, but he wasn't talking about Semitic blacks. He was talking about the little hats, the Jewish people that sign his checks. Can we be intellectually honest? He was not talking about
Yeah.
He was talking
about those are actually Hasidic Jews.
Exactly. They're European Jews. They're Kazakhstan. Somebody help me. Kazakhstan Jews or wherever from Europe.
It doesn't matter that he's Semitic. He was talking about people that sign his checks.
Thank you. No saying.
Okay. So he said on a global stage, because that's his reach, I can say anything that's anti-Semitic and Adidas can't drop me. I can say anything that's anti-Semitic and Adidas can't drop me. Can you go to your job right now and say, I can say your wife is fat and you can't fire me?
Well, no, they were partners. They were partners.
You can't fire me.
They were partners.
They were partners, but we get the
partners with him. They stopped being partners with him.
But I get the gist of what Jen is saying. If I say to my partner something about his fat wife, he has a right to back out of my deal.
That's like if I say right now, Jen, I ain't nothing I can say right now, you won't drop me off this motherfucking panel. And then I say something and she like, drop, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I
So
get
I
what
mean,
Jen is
Jen
saying.
has an act.
Well,
Jen has a
answer
very
Joanna's
great
question,
point.
and to answer Joanna's question about the White Lives Matter, here's what's wrong with it, right? Honestly, nothing's wrong with it. You can say whatever you like. You could say Asian lives matter. You could say purple lives matter. But here's what's wrong with it, just on public opinion. When you say white lives matter, it sounds like a slight to Black Lives Matter. And people that still uphold the Black Lives Matter are going to feel away. So that's what's wrong with it, right? But he kind of can say whatever the fuck he likes.
So we're just talking about feelings.
Absolutely.
He pretty much got canceled because people got butt hurt in their feelings.
That wasn't what canceled him, though. That wasn't the White Lives Matter. None of that canceled him. It didn't. He didn't get canceled until he started talking about the Jews.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Liberal Europeans did not like him saying White Lives Matter. They did not like
But
that.
still, that had nothing to do with him getting canceled.
What got him canceled was that Adidas quote that I could say something anti-Semitic
and the DEFCON and the DEFCON and all that.
DEFCON. But even the DEFCON, it didn't move so quickly as when that. I know that probably some executives got an email with just that little snippet of that quote saying, "I can say this and not get canceled," and 100 calls came from 100 different CEOs and business cats that said to the heads of Adidas, "You need to shut this shit down right now." And that's. Let me say this: if somebody in the mosque said something about my wife Jen, and I said, "You better watch it, Cap. We got to shut this shit down right now. This brother's talking about my wife." That's going to happen. So ultimately, Jen's right. You can't say certain things out your mouth and not expect there to be consequences and repercussions. Now, Kanye considered that because if you notice in some of those conversations, he did say, "I may lose this, or this may be something done to me, or this may." He said all that beforehand. So he considered all these possibilities when he stepped out there. So he said it to say it considering the consequences. And he also said, I could easily not say anything and just move to Hawaii and just chill. So he has a premise in his mind of a principle that he's trying to step up for.
Yes.
Now, whether he's equipped to do it, eloquent enough to do it, cultured and civilized enough to do it.
Yes,
we see the consequences.
I think it was the right things coming out of the wrong mouth, Brother Ish. What say you?
Bango. And I think and ultimately it only history would tell this story. So we got to really I'm sitting there with my chips and my bean pie, sitting here watching like, okay, let's see how this whole thing plays itself out, because I think the game is not over.
It's not over.
So what would have been the right mouth? Whose mouth would have been right, Joanna?
Just like George Floyd shouldn't have been made a martyr if it was an upstanding person. Any one of you on this panel, I would have gone to the mat. I would have gone to the mat for it. It has to be a certain person. I can't name a person, but and I don't know anything about you all's background, but I just got a sense of you all. If it was any one of you, and that happened to, and you didn't do all the things that this specific person had done, I'd have gone to the mat for you. But I could not. I could not get behind. I could not get behind that degenerate past.
Hold on, Joanna. I gotta push back up. I gotta push back on that.
And my mother went to prison, and I'm still saying the same thing. And a lot of people in my family are so-called degenerates, and I say the same thing. I cannot get behind that. But any one of you that had happened to,
that doesn't mean he deserves to die.
Of course he doesn't deserve to die. Please. Just like Candace Owens said, she said, "I'm not saying he deserved to die, but he should not have been martyred." It was the right it was the right thing, but for the wrong issue, behind the wrong issue.
I agree with that. I do.
Let me say this. I agree with you on one.
This man held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly and pistol whipped her.
But I'm not martyring him, and I'm not standing behind him. In relationship to that. But what I'm saying is, the what should have been addressed, and primarily was, and the man was convicted for it, was the poor policing, the worst case scenario policing of putting a knee on somebody's neck.
I agree, but do you agree that that's police policy?
That is the problem.
We should have challenged police policy because that is a standard. That is a standard in a lot of police districts. That's what should be addressed.
Well, absolutely. But I mean, again, you know, you had the choking incident that happened in Long Beach and Signal Hill, where they had to change how they do chokeholds based upon how they were doing chokeholds.
Exactly.
They were doing them across the forearm, across the throat, which causes an inflammation inside and can cause you to suffocate, versus putting your elbow and nestling it here.
I agree. I agree with you, brother Ish.
But these individuals, the consequences that happen to these individuals have to radiate on those points. So you have to be very, very, very clear. It was not necessarily martyring him, but it was the aspect of showing that this cannot take place when you're policing.
But I just want to make it clear, he was not going against police policy in his precinct. That's what needs to be addressed.
I think that's an irrelevant point. In truth, that's an irrelevant point.
It was dead ass wrong. It was dead ass wrong what he did. That's the bottom line.
The way that they did it.
Wait a minute. Why do we always go from he shouldn't have? This is where it gets silly to me. Why do we always go from he shouldn't have been martyred to, oh, you say he deserved to die? No. Did you hear what people were saying? He shouldn't have been martyred. It's not synonymous with he deserved to die. Those are two different situations.
I said that.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not on us because he was martyred. Social media did that. We didn't do that.
Matter. It doesn't matter how it happened. It happened. People were talking about it. People were wearing his face on his t-shirt. He had the gold casket. There are 3 statues standing of him right now as we speak. He was martyred. It wasn't just social media. There are statues of this man right now that exist.
There's a lot of people are going to be martyred. Pablo Escobar was martyred. Was martyred and had gold and had all that stuff for his funeral.
That's a martyr, sir. That is a martyr.
And that's wrong. Escobar should not be martyred.
So, yes, it is. 2 things can be true. George Floyd.
And I have a Mexican friend from Mexico who said that he left Mexico because of the degenerates in Mexico.
Okay, George Floyd was a degenerate, but no, he shouldn't have been murdered. 2 things can be true. He shouldn't have been murdered, and he should have been martyred.
I agree. I love that. That should be a t-shirt. That should be a t-shirt. He shouldn't have been murdered. He shouldn't have been martyred.
Yeah, who wants to wear that shirt so you can get a bullet hole in it?
Even before they go shoot at a cop.
Yeah, exactly, because all these losers are in their feelings.
That's
the problem right there.
I have a serious question. All this stuff we're saying about Kanye, did he say this exactly out his mouth?
No, dude, you gotta get like AT&T or something because this shit ain't working.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah. Disconnect your computer. Or
I think he was asking, did Kanye really say something? What what's been purported that he said something really egregious towards the Jewish people, and I don't see.
Here we are, but they do it too. Pablo Escobar should not be a patron saint, and I guarantee that in this country you'll find people that think he's a fucking monster, okay? Pablo Escobar did lots of things, people in Medellin, and people still there love him to this day, and there are people in Medellin who think he was a fucking monster, okay?
Exactly.
That's true.
Just like George Floyd. They think he was a monster, and they think he wasn't a monster. It's the same thing.
It's the same
Some people think he's a monster, some people think he's not. I see people wearing Pablo Escobar shirts as well.
Yes,
so I mean,
in that documentary that Candace Owens did, it's found that his daughter hadn't seen her father in a year, but yet right after he died, they killed my daddy. And who taught her to say that she hadn't seen her daddy in a year?
Well, that was a money grab. That was for the money.
But I'm just saying, look at the optics on this. She hasn't seen her father in a year, but you would think this little girl just sat on her dad's knee the night before and he read her a bedtime story.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would say that's easy to kind of characterize from the outside, but a child is going to love their parent regardless until they get of age and have an issue with certain issues. So that I don't think is an actual position you can really say conclusively that she was coached into saying that even if the child hasn't seen their parent in a year, when they do see him, it's like nothing ever happened in between. So
Two things can be true. I
Two
agree
things
with
can be
that.
true. Well, because if
I agree with that.
It didn't go
if
like
they
that
kill,
for Kevin
if
Samuels.
they kill me, if the police kill me, baby, my daughter, go get that money. Go get you some money. Go get you some money.
Go get you a Jewish lawyer to help you get that money.
However you gotta get it, go get it.
Well, let me say this: Johnny Cochran wasn't Jewish, and he was very successful.
I agree.
Excuse me, was Johnny Cochran OJ's only lawyer sitting there? Because
No, he had a team. The Kardashian's father.
I seem to remember Kim Kardashian's
Kanye's father-in-law.
Who else was there?
Kanye's father-in-law.
Kanye's father-in-law was there.
Let's say
who
this.
else was there? Who else was there? Because it looked like he had more than
Regardless
just
of who
Johnny
was
Cochran.
there, he won, and he was the winner, and he was the head lawyer.
And
So
two
at the
things
end of
can
the
be
day,
true because things can be true because OJ did kill that woman.
Wasn't there somebody named Shapiro?
I would have killed her too.
Was
Yeah,
there
there
a
was a
lawyer
team.
named Robert Shapiro?
Oh, they was the team. They was the Chicago Bulls, but Johnny Cochran was Michael Jordan.
So basically, OJ had an Iranian, a Jew, and a black guy sitting at that table.
Yep.
And we're just talking about Johnny Cochran, really?
Yeah,
come
well,
on.
Let me
You
say
can't
this.
take from
No,
Johnny
you don't
Cochran.
like the
Come
fact
on.
that I used the fact and I beat that argument.
Not at all. It was his leadership that made it successful. Not everybody would have made those choices. And Johnny Cochran was smart enough and savvy enough as a leader of that team and the head attorney of that team to say.
So then they didn't need Shapiro then.
No. Again, whenever you have a case of that magnitude, you pull in mutual attorneys. That's always been the case. You have an attorney that represents you in certain arenas. So when you have comprehensive knowledge about a subject, you then understand the tactics. So I would say I would invest in taking some time to realize that was a very superior strategy.
Yeah, they were the dream team. They were the dream team.
Yeah, and by the way,
they were the Chicago Bulls. But you know, Michael Jordan gets all the glory.
Hold on.
Michael Jordan gets all the glory.
Hold on. Epley Bailey, Alan Dershowitz, Robert Kardashian, Sean Hawley, Carl Douglas, Gerald Ullman. So most of those names ain't Cochran. Any more points?
They all got a call. They all got hired by Cochran. Let's be very clear. They all got hired by Cochran. So they were the boss, just like the Jews run the company. Just like the Jews run the company. Johnny ran that company right there.
Okay.
Yeah, the Johnny Cochran law firm. Johnny Cochran law firm. That's Michael Jordan. Of course, Scottie Pippen deserves some praise, but Michael Jordan gets all of it.
Exactly.
Shapiro was
Johnny Cochran
the leader.
wrote the check.
Johnny Cochran came on and turned the thing into a race matter, and that's how OJ got off by jury nullification.
Well, hey.
OJ got off because
did an armed robbery and put his
Big
ass
Truck.
right back in fucking prison.
Big Truck. OJ got off because Mark Furman was a poor witness. A child could see he was lying on the stage.
Yeah,
on the witness stand.
Listen, that's all besides the point. I'm just talking about his lawyers. So, okay.
Well, I'm just saying one of the officers over the case, Mark Furman, was lying all over the place, and he just couldn't be trusted. The jury didn't trust him.
All right.
And like they said, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
But I believe he did it because of those cuts on his hand, fresh wounds on his hand. I just believe that.
OJ definitely did it.
None of us were there. We didn't see the shit happen.
OJ did that shit, but
we don't know that.
He did.
The jury said beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was not guilty.
He was. I'll give.
He was not guilty, but I believe he did it.
The jury said because that's what y'all fail to realize. In the court of law, it's about what you can prove, not what happened.
And they didn't prove it beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt, and therefore he walked.
Exactly. I can go kill somebody right now, but if you can't prove it, then you must acquit me.
There you go.
That's right.
I mean, Zimmerman got off, right?
Right. Exactly. Big Truck. Do you see?
Wait, I'm sorry. Who got off?
I can't say. I can't say.
George Zimmerman got off for the slaying of Trayvon Martin.
No. See, here's the thing. Excuse me. George Zimmerman absolutely killed Trayvon Martin. My argument is no. He absolutely killed him. But the bottom line is they charged him with murder. See, there's a difference. If it's premeditated, it's murder. Homicide.
No.
Excuse me.
First degree murder is premeditated.
Excuse me. He was not found guilty of murder because they couldn't prove that he had premeditated intent.
No, that's first degree murder is premeditation. Second degree murder is not premeditated.
He was not found guilty of murder.
They could have got him for second degree murder.
They overcharged him. They got that dumb fat
King's
black girl on the stage.
King's World, Truck's point.
She walked away looking like an idiot.
King's World, Truck's point is that he was not even charged with murder, and because they knew they couldn't.
He was found not guilty.
That's the reason why. That's his point.
That he was charged
with.
He was not. We're on the outside. We're on the outside.
He wasn't charged with premeditated murder. That wouldn't have been premeditated murder because it happened on the spot. Premeditation causes for calculation.
Instead of charging him with negligent homicide, you say murder. You couldn't prove it, and he walked.
Okay, my point
and that was the issue.
Wait a minute, because everybody's talking over everybody. We sound crazy right now. My point was that he walked.
There you go.
That was my point.
Yeah,
my point was that OJ walked. So just because somebody walks doesn't mean they didn't kill somebody. You just couldn't prove it in court.
No. Homicide, murder, two different things, though.
I know, but it just homicide, murder 1, murder 2, murder 3. If you can't prove it in court,
you can't exactly.
You can't prove it. The person walks. It does not.
You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. If you can't
even if they did it, even if they did it, Big Truck. If you can't prove it, then they walk.
Sometimes they didn't do it, and they get convicted of it, and then later on, DNA evidence may come out that they didn't do it.
Right.
So you see what it happens. It happens both ways, but it all happens through you're carried by 12. They say.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you like this. If Trayvon Martin had been running away from George Zimmerman, got shot in the back, chances are Zimmerman would have gone down for murder. But that's not what happened.
Yeah, but
what?
No, George Zimmerman chased him. He followed him.
Yeah, he said, get the fuck out of here, stop trying to steal my wheels.
And then followed him.
Okay, somebody follows you. You have a right to turn around and start beating them up? No.
If I'm scared for my life here.
What?
If somebody follows you, you do not know. No, see, if either y'all don't understand the law or you don't care. If somebody is following you.
No, you don't understand the law.
If somebody is following you. Yeah, well, if I don't understand it, why the fuck did he get off? If somebody's following you, you do not
You don't understand the law.
You do not have a right to turn around and start
Just
beating
because
them
you're
up.
raising your voice does not mean you're right.
Well, guess what? The jury said I am. So there you go. Good night.
We all said that.
Well, the issue is when
that is not how they work.
George Zimmerman chased him when he stopped.
Hey, I'm muting everybody now. We are on a 2:30. We're 2 hours 30 minutes. Now we're going into Zimmerman's case. My only point was that you can kill someone and get off. The semantics are, well, murder 1, murder 2, you overcharged, you undercharged. The jury said, but I'm just saying that you can kill somebody and get off. That was my only point. So if we say, well, the jury said OJ wasn't guilty, then we have to keep the same energy for Zimmerman. Zimmerman walked as well. We can't pick and choose when we believe in the court system, right? A lot of motherfuckers walk who commit murders because you can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt. That was my point. A lot of people that kill people walk because you can't prove it in court that they actually killed him. As far as Trayvon Martin, that baby, rest in peace. We don't know if he turned around and beat on the. We weren't there. We were not there. Okay, we don't know what that boy did or what we were not there. There were no cameras to say. So please let's stop saying that boy turned around and beat on that pudgy white man. We don't know. We weren't there. Okay, we were not there. And guys, with that said, I'm going to unmute you. I love you all, but I am the fuck out of here. I do want to leave with the last notes on dismantling Kanye, simply how power works. or abuse of power? Do you think they're doing too much to Kanye with the long list of things they did, or this is fucking how power works?
Oh, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'll say this. This is what consequences and accountability is that everybody's been preaching since this pandemic. You say the wrong thing, this is what you get. I have no sympathy for this man. He's off his meds, so he's willingly choosing to go around with an illness. So at the end of the day, people can say whatever they want about Kanye, he's wrong and this and that. What everybody has said Kanye is doing has not come out of Kanye's mouth. This is the same thing with Obama. What did Obama do? Oh, change. And everybody ran with it as, oh, he's going to change everything for black people. He never said that, but he ain't tell y'all that he never said that, nor changed anybody's mind. Kanye is letting y'all run with this because y'all on his side. I guarantee you, if everybody's like, you know what, Kanye, we're going to wait and see, he'll start crying and say, oh, the black people are against me, blah, blah, blah. But he's not going to change the narrative to what the reality is. I have a mental illness and I'm running around with my head cut off and I need help. He's not doing that. Stop. We're making excuses for a whole bipolar individual at that. Like, we don't do that for anybody else. We do it for the schizos. It is what it is. And everybody should be ashamed of themselves. That's how I feel.
Well, he got hit records, so you know the celebrities get passes all the fucking time. If he was crazy Kanye in our neighborhood, we'd be like, "That's that crazy motherfucker Kanye. We ain't about nobody." We've all had that guy in our neighborhood. They just weren't rich. We've all had the Kanye in our neighborhood. Anyone else dismantling Kanye? Simply how power works or abuse of power? Are they doing too much to Kanye?
I would say that I wouldn't say that they're doing too much. I'm saying that it's par for the course. It's, you know, when you step out there and you want to be a martyr, and he wanted to be a martyr, and he said, this may happen to me, and they may do this to me, but I'm in a position where I feel I can do that. Step on right out there. But I don't think he was equipped for the battle. He wasn't ready for it. But he may be able to sustain himself and survive the war.
I believe it's both. It's abuse of power. Hold on, what'd you say? Abuse of power?
Simply how power works or abuse of power?
It's both of them. It's abuse of power and it's simply how power works. Because if I have power, I can abuse that shit. So I look at it like this. I said this a couple of shows ago. You have to get your own power. Kanye has to find a way to get his own power. When you're in other people's houses, you abide by their rules. If you don't abide by their rules, there's consequences and repercussions. You must be able to, you make your bed, you must be able to lay in it. I cannot live with my grandma and walk around with my nuts hanging. Once I get my own place, I can walk around as I choose to. The consequences of me walking around in my grandma's house naked is she may kick my ass out. But I can do what I want to in my own house. So get your own power so that maybe you can know how power works and then abuse your own power. I'll leave it there.
It can all be so simple. Jabari, that's a drop in the bucket. That whole Adidas stock is down. Adidas ain't going nowhere. Trust me. They got Bad Bunny. They got Beyonce. They got Pharrell. They got me. They got pop culture. They got hip hop. They got Run DMC.
They got Black Panther.
They got Black Panther. They did a fucking deal with Wakanda.
They got Damian. They got Damian Lillard. They got all these athletes.
Yeah, they're not. It's a drop in the bucket. They even
no, they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose some stuff now, but they're not going nowhere.
Right. They said it's a short-term loss. They'll be right back. And not only that, but everybody's, marketing them for free now. Adidas is on top of the world right now. Everybody got that word in their mouth. Adidas, 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 Adidas. That's how it works. That is how it works. Anyone else? Simply how power works.
I agree that, like what King's World said, and as we were saying all throughout the night, two things can be true. This is simply how power works. And if you have power, that's the beauty of it. You can abuse that shit. And so what I would say is that I agree. I wish he had just kept his mouth shut because there's not enough power on his side. His own people, so-called people, are too divided to support him and hold him up. I said this on the last show. Black people are not going to hold him up. Um, I would say that I wish that there was a mechanism of power within this culture to catch even our fallen, but there isn't. And so, yes, he's going to have to pay the consequences. I do believe in paying consequences. As a business owner, I know I can't just go out there and blab my mouth about the things that I feel or believe and not think that my boss, the customers, aren't going to, reprimand me. And so I get that. But even when there's people who would do that and reprimand me, it would be nice to know that there was an undergird of support for me so I wouldn't starve out here. So, but I would like to see him come out on top because I do not see him as a degenerate on the street who deserves to be thrown away, even though I don't support it. That's what I have to say.
Fair enough. Big Truck, what say you without yelling at us?
Okay. I don't believe.
Wait, Chug's talking.
Yeah, okay, yeah, keep your fingers like that.
Well,
I don't believe 1 second in allowing inmates to run an asylum at all. So basically, he betrayed his position in the beast, and now he's being punished for it. So I don't really believe that this is abuse of power. He should have kept his mouth shut, but he didn't. Nobody around him could stop him. He's been on a tirade for the last couple of years. So the thing about it is now he's going to find out the hard way. All of his followers, supporters, good luck to them. But the thing about it is basically he's getting punished. And that's just it. And this has nothing to do with free speech at all. This is corporate, private ownership. They signed his checks. He cursed at him. He just abused his position. Now he's getting punished. So thank you very much, Jen, for and by the way, did you check out those emails that I sent you?
I did not. I didn't play it yet.
Okay,
did you see the last email I sent you, Jen? I sent you an email too. You didn't respond.
I replied to you, Juana.
No, the last one. I wrote you a long ass thing.
I replied.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe something's wrong with my shit. Okay.
I'm letting y'all know right now, Miss Juana, great chance Jen didn't press send. She responded, but it's in the draft. She sucks at technology. She is utter trash. I'm telling you right now.
So I'll say this. I agree with Big Truck. Crazy as this is, I agree with Big Truck. I don't think that Kanye needs to be upheld or coddled by the community. I think he's a loudmouth who pushed too far, and he's been doing it for a very, 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 very long time. I'm surprised they didn't drag his ass when he said he loved the Nazis and Hitler way, 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 way back. I'm surprised it took this long. So I don't feel sorry for him. I also don't hate him. I think he will be fine. He has enough money to be fine. I don't feel sorry for him. To me, it's how power works. I do find it very interesting how everybody's running, away from him. I do find that interesting. But I don't think it's necessarily an abuse of power. I think it's somebody who fucked with people for a long, long, long time, and everybody got together and was like, "Yo, let's go beat his ass." And that is what's happening now. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way of, many ethnicities, right? It's not just the Jewish people. He's been fucking with black people too. Okay, saying Harriet Tubman wasn't real and slavery was a choice, and I'm a MAGA and I support Trump and I ain't gonna be scared of y'all. I support, so he's been fucking with people for a long, long time. And now the chicken has come to roost. The good thing for Kanye is that he has many, 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 many people who love him. So he'll be fine. But I don't see him just wilting willow in the corner like, oh, let's uphold the black man. He'll be fine. He got a big mouth and a big fucking attitude. He will be just fine. So I agree with Big Truck. Jabari says no. It's the exercise of power without flexing power. And we would all, let me just say, we would all do the same fucking thing in a position where someone who's working for us or even partnering with us keeps fucking with our business. We would all do the same thing. And if you wouldn't, you're dumb. we will all do the same thing. We would all say, get the fuck on. We've detached from family members for less. Okay? For less. This man is fucking with money, right? So I don't feel bad for him. He'll be fine. I don't know. I guess if he keeps losing shit, I'll come back. But he's lost a lot of shit already, which is interesting.
Great show,
and also
Jen.
and also
Great show.
Jen, one
The Jewish people, watch your lip about the Jewish people. If you're gonna go work with the Asian people, watch your lip about the Asians. If you're gonna go work with Black people, watch your lip about Black people. This is how it is. It's business 101.
one last word. This all stemmed from his breakup with Kim. So that got me thinking, what do she got? She must got some heat. I'll leave it there.
No, she got those connections that he.
No. He
Great show, Jen. Trump 2024. Good night.
I'm talking about his behavior.
No, he's always been that way. Watch the Netflix documentary. Kanye's always been that way, way before Kim.
He was obsessed with Kim because he couldn't get Beyonce. He wanted somebody that was like peered up equally. And Jay came off with Beyonce, and he was like, "Who else? Who's the second best?" Okay, I'll go with Kim Kardashian. She had money.
Power move, a good power move. Even though now she denounced him and kicked his ass to the curb, like I don't know nobody named Kanye. Who that?
Exactly. She
Kim
prayed him out.
All right, guys. So this was amazing yet again. I love all your input. Thank you for holding me down in the chat too. Thank you, chat box. I did have to block some people. Y'all supposed to be on that. That's why you have the ranches. Okay, I can't pay attention to everything. I really do love you all and your input, even though we were screaming at the top of our lungs tonight. Jesus. So I will see you guys mañana. Tristan, please dismiss the class. Thank you for supporting, guys.
Well, you know what, Kanye? I will be nice to you, all right, sir? You lost the Adidas deal, Balenciaga, and all this, so I have this video for you.
What's the letter? What's the letter? What's the letter? The letter of the day is F. It's the letter of the day.
Hold that, sucker.
He took an L. That's hilarious.
I
love you all. Class dismissed.
All right, guys, please hit that like and subscribe on your way out. La puerta. On your way out the door, please hit that like and subscribe. Thank you so much for supporting. Don't forget On the Block with Jen on TikTok, on Instagram, at Gmail, and also Cash App on the bottom. To Sean Ford, my audience is arrogant. You can get the fuck on and never come back. Don't worry about my audience. Bye, Jamal. All right, guys. Thank you. Good night. And I'm out.